Yes, welcome back to Football Heritage TV. Welcome to the Spurs review. It's Sunday night. The first weekend of the Premier League has finished, other than Leeds versus Everton. And someone's got a very loud fan on in the background or a window open or something. But other than that, welcome absolutely everybody to the show. In a weekend where Tottenham have won 3-0, and in a weekend where Richarlison is now being made out to be Diego Maradona, we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about all things yesterday, and we're going to look at this transfer window, which is becoming more and more frustrating. And I believe, if I'm not wrong, 14 days of the window to go from midnight. Welcome to Marlon. Welcome to Luke. Welcome to Lubo. Please subscribe to the Spurs 5. Please subscribe to Spotlight on Spurs. Please subscribe to Spurs Kings TV. And if one of my mods would be so kind to put all of those links in the chat, that would be absolutely amazing. Let me start with, who should I start? Are you all okay? Is everyone good?
We're all good.
I think so. Can you hear me? Because my audio all went before we started.
Yeah, I know. It's all right. Don't worry, mate. I'm used to amateurs coming on every now and then. Don't worry. It's all like your first time streaming. Look, guys, let's start with yesterday, because we look, inevitably, even if we try and steer away from it, we're going to end up talking about Eberechi Eze. It's just the done thing at the moment. So let's start with yesterday. Guys, it's only Burnley is what I keep seeing from a lot of people. But you know what? It was a game we had to win. We did win. We scored 3 goals. We got a clean sheet. And I just want to point out that last season, we lost 2 of the 3 at home to promoted clubs. So how important, let me start with you, Luke. How important was yesterday for you? How important was it that we avoided that potential banana skin, so to speak?
Yeah, 100%, especially for Frank. You can imagine what the uproar would have been if he'd have come in and we'd have struggled against a promoted team. A lot of people said that it was a perfect sort of game for him, but I thought it probably wasn't because of the way that Burnley play. Maybe if you was at a promoted team that were really attacking and were coming up and were going to be kind of open, expansive, and they were going to be easy to kind of break down. But because the fact that Burnley was so strong, I mean, they only conceded 16 goals, I think it was, in the Championship. I've always felt that getting an early goal would really just settle everybody down a little bit, because it's one of them games that you can imagine you get to half time, you get to 50, 60 minutes. And if you haven't scored, then fans start getting a bit stressed out. So listen, I know we like to pick it apart on occasions. They should on paper be a team we beat. But the facts is that it was going to be a bit more difficult. I thought it might be a little bit more difficult than it was in what it turned out to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, Lubo, banana skins come around very often at Tottenham. And I think it was really important for me, the fact that last year our home record was absolutely atrocious. It was really important to get that feel-good factor into White Hart Lane in game 1, wasn't it?
Definitely. We lost 10 last year, didn't we, out of 19?
Oh, 10.
We won 6, drew 3 and lost 10. I mean, it's nonsense. 21 out of 57 points we got. So, listen, it's a good start. We're going to have many harder games this season.
Yep.
I thought the first half was untidy. Lovely first goal. Thought we started off like a house on fire, and then we sort of drifted back. It wasn't quite so good. It was untidy. There was a lot of, for me, Romero, a lot of uncharacteristic bad passing first half.
Not uncharacteristic, I'm afraid.
No, I think his passing's
not uncharacteristic. We've been telling you this for a long time, Lubo.
And it was interesting that every time we lost the ball, they would try and hit Carl Foster with a through ball through the middle. It was literally get the ball bang straight through. There was no playing to the wing or whatever. It was pretty quick. Second half I thought was much better. And it was, it was that goal, wasn't it? That everyone's talking about. But there was some really good performances out there. I thought Kudus and Richie, I thought yesterday were absolutely superb. I thought Saar was excellent again. I do, sir. I do. You know,
I wasn't screwing my nose up at Sol. I wasn't screwing my nose up at Sol.
He gave. No, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. Richie gave the ball ball away a couple of times, but apart from that, that was first half. Apart from that, I thought Richie did well. Even Solanke looked sharper when he came on, didn't he? He's obviously worried about his place. Generally, I thought it was second half was good. We'll have much harder tests. But you know what? 3 goals, 3 points, clean sheet. First clean sheet since Man United on February the 16th in the league.
Yeah.
So that was a plus. That was a plus. And can I just say that it was on the show last week that I was really cool when I said Richie will score goals and everyone laughed. Well, he hasn't started badly. And he's fit for the first time in 2 years. Mentally and physically, he's fit.
Oh, don't give me that nonsense. The first time in 2 years he's fit. What are we doing? The mental gymnastics in this
scored 2 goals, so.
Yeah, but sure. But this isn't the first time in 2 years that the man's been fit. That is just an out and out lie.
13 goals from his last 16 starts. That's fact.
Sure. Lubo, do you know what? Do you know why I'm so happy the protests are absolutely fucking pathetic? Because you back all of these bad players that Daniel Levy buys.
Yeah,
you
terrible.
back all of these bad players and then go, oh, Levy, he doesn't care about us. Damn well he shouldn't when you've got opinions like that.
Yeah. Okay, we'll see. As the season goes on, we'll revisit this.
Sure. I mean, we've only been talking about this for 3 seasons. Let's do it for a 4th season just to see if you're right for once.
Richie's back.
Back? When was he ever? When? What are we doing? Marlon, let's start as we mean to go on. Let's talk about Richarlison, Marlon. How are you, sir? You well?
I'm good, thank you. Do I have to speak about Richarlison?
Yeah.
Please.
No, you've got to, mate. You've got to, because I feel like we're doing that thing again where player has a good game. And instead of just saying really good game, our fans do what Lubo does. Like he did this. He does this. He watches Josh Keeley save a penalty for Orient, starts talking about him being the Spurs #1 for the next decade. Donnelly gets an assist where he's passed it 5 yards and he should be playing in the number 10 for Spurs. And now Richarlison is fit for the first time in 2 years. What are you saying about Richarlison, Marlon?
1 second, you missed the bit where he didn't even mention Archie Gray going missing in the first half yesterday, did he?
We'll get to Archie Gray. We're going to get to Archie Gray, who I thought was anonymous, but we'll get there. There.
Look, for me, yeah, Richie, that was a performance that Richie's probably owed us for the last 2 years. Whether he's back or going to do something this season, we'll see over the next few weeks, because this is a guy that we can guarantee gets injured. And at this present moment, he just had a good game yesterday. The last time I think we saw him have a game like this was Everton away, where he scored twice at a brace. Was it in January, February time, and then got injured? So look, I'm not going to get too excited. I'm going to keep my feet on the ground, but I'm glad he delivered. For the whole game yesterday, I'm just glad that they got it over the line. I have one big concern about yesterday was we conceded too many chances. We let them have too many shots on goal.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my only worry for now. But for Richarlison yesterday, look, well done to the lad. Finally produced. But we need to see it next week when we play City. He can't go missing, because in some of the friendlies that we've had, if we go back to them, none of us were happy with him. And that's pretty much what we've seen at Spurs for the last 2 years with him. So, look, I'm glad what he's done. Great goal. Second goal, remind me of his World Cup goal. But I'm not going to get overly excited about this. Look, because if an offer came in from Saudi Arabia in the next few weeks, I'll take it. I literally would take it still.
I'd take him there. I'd pay for him to fly to Saudi Arabia if an offer came in for him.
But honestly, there needs to be a replacement to come in as well, because we can't. Well, depends if he gets injured or not. This is the thing. Until I know if he's going to get injured or not, which I can guarantee, I'm not going to sit there and go absolutely nuts about it, because if it gets knowing our luck, what's going to happen now? He'll go through the next 3 games. He'll play well, and as soon as that transfer window closes, he'll be out for 4 months.
Do Do you know what I find funny? And look, Dan, I'll bring you in here. Dan, what I find hilarious, but just from looking at the comments in the chat, is people can't understand the difference between somebody not getting carried away over one performance and hate. I don't hate Richie. I just don't think he's the guy we need. I think we need better. But Dan, isn't it amazing how much of the fan base in one performance have now suddenly gone from Bissouma's got to go, Solomon's got to go, Hill's got to go, Richie's got to go. Can't believe we can't get rid of Richie. Leave him out of the squad. Get rid of him. Tell him he's not wanted. To he's going to cook this year. He's going to score 25 goals. He's back. This is the first time he's been fit. P.S. Dan, he's played 57 games in the last 2 seasons. Apparently he was injured for every single one of them. Like, this is, Dan, when did common sense just come out, leave the window? What happened?
It's who we are, mate.
It's who we are, isn't it?
Now, if you want me to be totally honest with it, I mean, he had a banging game yesterday, no two ways about it. I thought his goal was the same sort of quality and standard of Gareth Bale's goal against Liverpool in that cup final. That is how good I thought that goal was. And I'm sorry, one good game with 2 quality goals doesn't make up for 3 years, basically, or is this even his 4th season? And it's like when all of a sudden Ange was the dog's bollocks because we won the cup and people just totally flipped on him within 98 minutes, I have to get that right, and totally changed on him. It's going to take a significant more amount of time before I change my mind with him.
Damn
Would
right.
I sell him yesterday? I still would. And that only goes down to history at the end of the day. I think he looked very, very good yesterday. And I think he also looked good against Paris Saint-Germain. I think him coming off was definitely one of the things that definitely started bringing us back in the game as such. When I mean back, I mean backwards. Because he wasn't just, past 2 games, he hasn't just been all over the place with a headless chicken. One thing you can always give about the fella is he always gives it his all. And he does. But then we can go and say the same thing about Ben Davies as well. He always gives it his all. But does he perform? Very rarely. And
sorry, that just quickly, the thing is, I need people to understand is it's not about not praising him for yesterday. He was excellent yesterday. He was excellent. But why is it that a player at Spurs only has to have a good game like every 3 or 4 months, and the fan base flip from sell him to, if he stays fit, this is a 20-25 goal a season striker? Like, on what evidence is he a 20-25 goal season striker?
Has he ever been? I mean, what was it? First 50 games, I think he scored about 3 goals, didn't he? And then he had that really good purple patch, which did save us quite a bit because we needed them goals. And then he evaporated again. I mean, is it down to his...
He scored 22 in 91 for Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
okay.
But now he's going to score 22 in one season.
But in his first 50 games, if I remember right, he scored about 3 goals, didn't he? And then he had that purple patch for us where he scored something like 13 goals in 12 games or something along those numbers as such. Yeah. And it only took him 50 games before he could score a few goals. But he just, it's like another one as well, Sarr. I think he's looked very good in a couple of friendlies. I think he's looked excellent past couple of games. I think he's looked pretty bang average since we pretty much had him. But I suppose you can turn around and say, tell me a player that hasn't really looked bang average over the past 2 years, really. Only you could say 2 of them have progressed. If Frank could keep him up to standards, keep him fit and keep him playing like this, but I'm going to have to see at least 10, 15 games before I can start having a bit of faith. Same as a couple of the other players. Okay, just because you had a good game, that doesn't all of a sudden make you world class and we need to keep you and not sell you. When only, 3 weeks ago, everyone was saying drag him out by his feet, basically, even if his nails are sticking into the ground and clawing at the pitch. And then in a matter of 1 game, it changes.
Yeah, look, guys, I think he played. Listen, I think he played brilliantly yesterday. The 2 finishes
he was excellent.
were brilliant. But the difference is, for me, this is where how I've been brought up, right? Is There is so much more to seeing a bloke score 2 cracking goals to being called a top centre forward. Your all-round play will tell me if you're a top centre forward. Your ability when under pressure. These goals he scored yesterday, there's no pressure. Not in about they're great finishes, but do you see what I'm saying? There's no pressure. There's no time to think. The top strikers are the strikers when you've got 2, 3, 4 seconds to think and you've got to get out your feet. That's where I want to see, and I haven't for 3 years seen that he's good enough. Now we've got Lubo doing mental gymnastics here, pretending that he's not been fit, even though he's played 57 games in 2 seasons. Like, what are we?
He had a run of games when he was fit. He was scoring goals, then he got injured again. Then he's out for another 2 months.
Just out a quick question. I mean, this is actually a serious question. Over the past 2 seasons, who's actually played more games, Romero or Richie?
Probably Richarlison. Probably.
It's a serious question. I don't actually know. Who's actually played more games?
What, last season?
Richie's been with us 3 years, hasn't he?
Yeah, I said over the...
Because Romero's been with us 4 years?
Yeah, Romero played
I said over the past 2 seasons.
And his first season, Romero played quite a bit. I think that's the most he's had in a Spurs shirt, but then he only played 18 last year, where Richie, I think, has had less.
Romero played in 34 out of 41 for Ange, and then 26 out of 60. So he played 60 out of 101. Romero has played 125 games in 4 seasons. Been with us 4 seasons, and Richie's played 91 in 3 seasons plus.
No, it was just something I want. Go on.
So it's there's not much in it, average wise.
Dan, I'll tell you, the last 2 seasons, Dan. The last 2 seasons. Christian Romero's played 30, 50. Romero's played 60. Richarlison's played 57 in the last 2 seasons.
They're the same.
So 3 games different for these 2.
So basically, the reason I was asking is it was a genuine question that I wanted to know of 2 of our most injury-prone players who has actually played more. It was just a question.
Sure. How many has Mickey played at one? Oh no, he's had 1 season.
Not as many as that.
Where's Van de Ven?
Mickey's had
Van de Ven's had 2 seasons.
51. He's played 51 in plus yesterday. He's played 52.
So that's three players that have been here for 2 years.
2 seasons that was.
Where does Madison fit in all this?
Sorry, where's
Madison?
That's 3 players that have been here for 2 years and they've completed a full season.
Madison he's played 75 in 2 years.
There you go. And he's meant to be the most in
101 out of 101.
And he's meant to be the most
if you add that on to this year, how many games he's going to play, it's probably going to even out that they're all.
Yeah, they'll probably all have the same amount now. So there's your problem.
But this is right? This is right. I mean, I was in, for anyone who's in that group with me, Lubo, Luke, you're definitely in the group with me, Lubo. I don't know if Dan is in Sean's group. So when we're talking last night, and the guys are having a pop at me about, you shit on Richarlison and he'll get 20 if he stays fit. I'm like, okay, cool. He's 28 years of age. Let's go and look at his career. In his career, he's never got more than 13 league goals in a season. Yeah. Why am I now led to believe suddenly he gets 20 league goals? Like, I'm just asking for some, like my man Dan, we argue about shit all the time, but he's right. Where's the evidence that this guy has got 20 league goals in him? So when people are telling me I'm wrong, he'll prove you wrong. Cool. I was told that 3 years ago when he signed. When he signed, guys, 3 years ago, I sat here and I went, I do not want this bloke. Right? He'll prove you wrong. Cool. End of the first season. It's not his fault. He's played back up to Kane. Cool. Second season. It's not his fault. He'll get injured. He got injured. Okay, cool. Third season. It's not his fault. He had Solanke in front of him. Like, there's always an excuse. Why can't we ever just get a player and they do the job that we pay for them to do? Why is there always an excuse, guys?
He's got kudos this year, though. So he might, they might have a connection. He might turn out to be quite half decent. Who knows? That's probably what people are hoping for.
It looked good, Jess. Listen, I know it's only Burnley and it is just 1 game. So we can't get carried away. But I think we got a really good manager who's going to coach the guys. And he's going to lift the levels, I think, of most players. So for me, I'm delighted. You know, if Frank, just look at what Frank's done already in 6 weeks. Literally 6 weeks, what he's done. You look at the performances against PSG and yes, I think it's terrific. We look like a proper football team. And, I'm not getting carried away. It's only Burnley. I know that, and Burnley may well finish bottom. So you look back and you think, okay, they finished bottom. It's 3-0. You would expect that, but you know, we look like a proper team.
Yeah, listen, I'm not saying we don't look like a proper team. I'm just trying to say, listen, everyone, I see this. Do you know what? If I recorded every time since I've had my channel that we have these conversations about fill in the blank of the player, right? I've had these conversations for years about Ndombele. I had these conversations for years about the Celso. I had this conversation for years about Bergwijn, for years about this player, that player, Lamela. I could go on and on and on. And every time I'm told by people, you'll be wrong. We'll see. And you know how often I am wrong and we'll see. And you know, the difference is it's not about I'm right. It's about I don't get carried away. I wait for these people to prove me wrong before I put them on that pedestal that people do. Isn't that fair enough to do in football? Shouldn't we Shouldn't we be waiting for people to do things before we go, oh, they're amazing? Like, I don't know.
It's not just the Spurs thing. It's not just the Spurs thing. This is other clubs do it too. Like the ones down the road do it all the time. And we're like, hold on, wait a second, wait till they've performed. So it's not just the Spurs thing. But you are correct. We do need to give the players in this team time to show us, like Harry Kane did, like Eriksen did, all them players that we said are a top, to do it in a Spurs shirt before we start going all high and mighty. Because Richarlison's been here 3 years and he hasn't done anything. And he's had one good game. And if what you kind of got from everyone watching the game yesterday was Burnley are going to go down. So
Marlon,
should he be having a performance like that against Burnley? Probably.
Marlon, Bilbao, Super Cup yesterday. Richarlison's had 3 very good games. It's not one off. He's had 3 very good games. And yesterday he showed what he
scored in one of them against the crap team. Right? Okay. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, he didn't score against United. He didn't score against PSG. He scored against the team that are championship level. Isn't there some context to be had here, Lubo?
Well, let's see how he does. Let's see how he does at the Etihad. Be interesting to see.
Well, this is going to be the big question, because we saw him against Bayern Munich. Look, he was crap against Bayern Munich and crap in the other friendly, so we can't sit there and say he's been absolutely brilliant. So he was in the final. He was okay, and against Paris Saint-Germain, yes, I agree with Dan. As soon as he came off, it pushed us back a lot further. But it doesn't mean that he's absolutely brilliant. It just means that
no. Listen, I'm having a laugh here when I say Richie's back.
I was explaining
You do have some shocking takes, so I'm not. I wasn't.
Listen, sure. I've got the response I wanted, Sam. It's great.
Listen, look, his goals were brilliant yesterday. His goals were very, very good. Very good, and this is why I've always said about him. He's a scorer of great goals, not a great goal scorer.
Yeah,
discuss. Is that fair?
That's a fair point. I'd say that's a fair point.
That's right. You look at the goals. You look at the goals per game. That he's got 22 in 91. It's pretty much 1 in 4.
And he does score some brilliant goals.
He does.
So if you've done a highlight reel at the end of his career, you're going to understand why he's Brazil's number 9.
Yeah, he'd be great for YouTube. The next club just show him a reel of him scoring. It'd be great. They'd buy him in an instant.
But you know what? I think Kudus is a level above, and he's playing like he played for West Ham 2 seasons ago.
Right.
My pals were just raving about him every game. Him and Richie, if they can strike up, if they can start get a connection, that'd be brilliant. That'd be super. He's good in the air as well. You got Porro putting, Porro put 1 or 2 lovely balls in yesterday. And for me, we got a proper manager here. We got a manager that fits the club. I think he has Spurs' best interests at heart. There's no question about it. And I'm looking forward to seeing how Spurs do this season. And if we can get 2 or 3 players over the line in the next couple of weeks, then it's going to be very, very exciting.
I'm just going to do it the way I always do it. I'm going to judge Frank exactly the same way I judged Ange. And when I see him have good games and make good decisions and everything else, I'm going to praise him for it. And when I think he has bad games or he makes the wrong decision, I'm going to question it. I'm not going to sit there blindly and just back someone up like I got told to with Ange and do the same again. I will just say it as I see it. And some people just can't handle that. Again, all different sides to it. Same with take Kudus, for example. I think he's been excellent since we've seen him here, and I think he's going to be a quality player. But again, I will start judging him properly in a Spurs shirt when I start seeing him play Liverpool, when I start seeing him play City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Villa, Newcastle. I mean, yesterday, he was excellent, but I will start judging them properly when I see games like that. Because then we can sit there, like with a debate I had earlier on with my mate Ben about Brennan Johnson, who scored 15 goals and everything else. And then when I actually took it apart for him, he only actually scored 3 goals in games that actually got us a win or draw. All the other goals he scored was in games against mediocre clubs that we had already won 3-1 or 4-0. I will start judging the players properly and how the manager is doing when I see progress in the club and when I see the players being consistent. So far, so good. And that's exactly what I said with Ange. And I will judge him exactly the same way I did with Ange.
Fair.
I think that's just being fair, isn't it?
Absolutely. You mean you don't want to see one game and then claim that they're the greatest thing that's ever lived?
No, and I'm not going to do that. And I think a few people need to slow down on a bit. Yeah, get a bit hyped up by how it looks, but then people already talking about like they've got like I saw on WhatsApp yesterday, and you was on there, Savva, when people were starting to talk that Richie and Kudus have got this mental link together. I'm like, for fuck. Calm down, people. Like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a smoke, but there's certain stuff you smoke and certain stuff you don't. And some people like already talking that they've got this chemistry and that. I'm like, just slow down a bit. Let's see how it goes. Give it a bit of time. Obviously, Frank's going to need time. There's going to be issues in there. I don't think the players are going to have to adapt too much to his systems because a lot of them are quite, it seems to match the players we've got anyway. But, just give it a bit of time and see how we do. I mean, doesn't everyone remember that this team we had and Ange was the greatest manager on the planet when we went 10 games unbeaten and literally every player we had was world-class and he was a world-class manager and then it fell to shit, basically. So that's all I'm saying is I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm talking about his first 10 games. So I'm not saying that's going to happen, but just, give it a bit of time. Have a smile on your face, but don't get overexcited just yet that we just bloody beat Burnley.
No, I think, Dan, I think Frank will have a much better idea of where Spurs stand at the moment with the players he's got.
He was my third choice. I've wanted him for a while and said he was my third choice. I mean, there was 2 I wanted before him. And I've said I want him here because I think he can play with the cards he's got. Even if we don't sign any other players, I think he will still be able to get the best out of what he's got. Whether he can get the wins or not will be different. But I think we would still see progress of him because he knows how to play with the cards he's got. And he's already proven that in 2 games, basically. And yeah, I just want to say, let's see how we're doing after 10 games, and then we can start talking about where the chemistry is, who's got a link with each other, who's got a bit of consistency, Richie's on fire, whatever else. It's just something I've heard it all before. I'll wait until time goes on a bit. So yesterday, so far, so good. So far, so good.
Can I just ask Wayne? Wayne, how good was that Divine goal yesterday against Leicester?
Didn't Leicester lose yesterday?
2-1, yeah.
2-1.
Oh, Wayne.
Did you see the goal he scored virtually it was virtually on the touchline.
And Bilal got taken off because he was useless. Apparently, what's his name? The guy that El Khanous, was useless yesterday as well.
Oh dear! Without Vardy as well, I hope Leicester aren't going to slide all the way through into League One.
But let's look at the game. Let's move away from Richie. I just find it funny that I can guarantee somebody else will have a great game next week that no one particularly rated, and then suddenly they'll be the greatest thing since sliced bread, and Frank's going to turn them into a world-class player as well, and we'll do it again.
Archie Gray.
And again and again and again and again and again and again and again. It is what it is. It is what it is. Guys, listen, yesterday, it was a surprising, well, maybe not. I was going to say it was a surprising team he picked with the midfield, but let's be fair, Bentancur and Paulinho put in a real big shift against PSG. And let's be fair, if Frank is going to try a young midfield, Luke, let me come to you. If he is going to try a young midfield, Burnley at home is the time and the place to do that, right?
Yeah, 100%. I wasn't expecting it though. I still wasn't expecting that.
Sure.
That young midfield to play. I wouldn't expect it all year, to be fair, because I thought they might play in a midfield with someone with experience, so a Bentancur in there, Paulinho maybe, one of them playing further forward. But yeah, I like both players. I just think that they shouldn't be playing together. I think they need experience. I think Gray, Lubo, I'd love to know. I am a backer of Gray. I'm just not sure whether he's ready to be playing around this squad right now. I think we need another option there, and he can kind of drift into games. But I think first half was a little bit shaky, but I think he grew into it. I think he done all right in the end. But yeah, you're right. If that was a top level team, then it may have come a little bit unstuck.
I agree with that. I think he played it very safe first half. He got the ball. It's funny. It's interesting. That Romero gave him a bollocking a couple of times. I don't know if you saw. He rubbed in for like not getting into position to pick up passes, which he started doing better. He played it very safe. Second half thought was much better, much better. And Frank spoke very highly of Gray in the press conference. Now, for me, if we trust Thomas Frank and we trust his player ID, then he likes Gray. And I think Gray will probably get more game time than a lot of us last week were expecting.
Or do you think he actually started Gray because Paulinho and Bentancur weren't fully fit for the game?
Well, the two of them put in a hell of a shift the other night, didn't they? And Paulinho in the end.
Yeah, serious question.
And I think he just he probably thought to himself, do you know what? I've got enough around them. To stick him in. It's Burnley at home. He had Paulinho and Bentancur on the bench. If there's a problem, he can bring them on. I'm sure he felt, particularly after that performance on Wednesday night, that there's enough in his squad, and he trusts the squad.
It was definitely the sort of game to do it, wasn't it? Like against Burnley, not dropping in against Paris Saint-Germain, where he got his pants pulled down and touched the ball once in bloody 20 minutes. Yeah, I didn't like the start of Bergvall and Gray. I thought that I didn't like that at all. I thought he would have at least put Bentancur, Paulinho there next to one of them, but it worked out in the end. Did Gray have a good game? No, he didn't. By his standards, yes, he did. But if that would have been Paulinho or Bentancur there, you'd have been ripping into him. First half, second half, he was a bit better. I mean, Romero having a go at him had no right to do that whatsoever, because I think Romero was the worst player on the bloody pitch.
Yeah,
I mean, okay, you say Johnson.
He's the captain, so he's got to...
Yeah.
So
I no, it was a point. It was just a way of putting it as such. I thought Romero was the worst player on the pitch yesterday. I mean, Van der Ven had to cover him about 3 different times and that is why I cannot call him world class, because where was he against a game like Burnley? But no, again, Gray didn't have a good game, but by his standards, he had a good game. For me, he just proved again he's not ready for the Premier League, because he had a perfect chance yesterday to come on a pitch and stand out against Burnley, a team that will get relegated. And he was probably one of the 3 players that didn't.
He's asked to do a job, isn't he? He's asked to do a job. You got other players around him that are, he was playing in that V in front of the 2 centre backs. So he was playing in a proper 6 position. Get the ball and give it to players who are far better than him creatively. That's what he's got to do.
But he wasn't doing that.
That's his job, and he did it. And I don't think
he did do that. I think that's
completely wrong. He lost the ball. He ran into
what was that, Marlon?
That was completely wrong. He wasn't doing that.
No,
I
he was
completely
not.
agree with you,
Exactly.
Mark.
He went missing.
Lubo,
Yes.
Sorry,
what
where
he
did he
wanted
go?
to see with
He,
Gray.
I forgot he was playing. I actually,
Me
at
too.
one point, forgot he was playing in the first half
Me
because
too.
they barely touched the ball. He was in the wrong position all the time. And I was like, I really want this kid to do well, but he's just not doing it. If it wasn't for Sarr and Bergwall, they actually, when you look at the three performances of the young three, at least those two showed their authority against the Burnley and the Championship side. This is meant to be Gray's level. And I was thinking, what are you doing? Because, yes, he had a better second half because he was of touching the ball now, but I thought he went completely missing in that first half.
Yes.
I can't see what he was doing. I was literally like, what if this is meant to be Archie Gray and he's meant to be this world class going into this, the future. He was very poor.
No,
I heard what Frank said, but Frank's not going to throw his players under the bus.
Yeah, what's
Why is
Frank
Frank
going to say?
Oh, he was crap.
Frank doesn't have to bring him up. He doesn't have to bring him up.
But someone would have brought, but he's going to bring him because the way he started that midfield, there was all three of them that were young. Sarr was for that first goal, he was the one who won the ball back high up. Bergwall kept trying to get it in that midfield, and he was taking on play. He was covering for Gray most of the time because Gray was just not involved, and that's look. Unfortunately, for me, look, I'm not. It sounds like I'm a Gray hater, but I just don't think he is ready for Premier League level, especially in midfield.
Marlon, don't hate somebody because this is where that word gets used too easy. Yeah, it's not a word I really use. Yeah, and just because you ain't rating a player, all of a sudden you hate him, you despise him, you wish death on him, whatever. And that if he's not performing,
great, but every time I'm speaking about Gray, I'm always speaking about him in a negative light. But
if he's not performing, and yesterday. He was better in the second half because he was so piss poor in the bloody first half.
But he was doing what Lubo said in the second half, but making the easy passes. But he didn't need to because we didn't need that anymore. We needed to be more progressive. And
can he be a good player? Yeah. Maybe, but he's not ready. Let alone ready for Spurs. He's not ready for the English Premier League yet. When he cannot come on at costing 40 mil and 75 grand a week and actually stand out a little bit. And not look like a terrified little boy on the pitch against Burnley, for God's sake, where he had a perfect shot.
I think in the first half he struggled.
Second half he was a bit better. The reason I rated him a 6 is because he actually tried, and he did try. Fair play, he tried, but that's not good. That first half was shocking.
Do you know what I think it is? Can I just say, first of all, Lou, but I'll be honest, I didn't see what you were seeing with him sitting in a V. I didn't see that Spurs did that at all yesterday. I'll go back and watch it if I have to, but I didn't see that at all. I saw the first 10, 15 minutes. I saw he was almost playing on top of the back four, and I almost saw Romero saying to him, go away. Like, I don't need you on top of me. For me, again, it's another game where I watch him and I just think, what does he do that we couldn't have got from an 18, 19-year-old out of the youth team? I don't know what he does. His passing isn't particularly good. He's very weak. He's very, very weak. He gets nudged off the ball easily. He's a bit lackadaisical on the ball. And yes, I'm going to get the whole, he's young, but that's not the point. You're starting in the Premier League for Tottenham Hotspur. And he is not good enough. He is. I'm sorry. We can do this every week. Danny is bang on this, and me and Dan probably agree 50% of the time. The rest we're just right down each other's throats.
So you think? So
hang on. All right, Danny is right. He's coming against a team that's just been promoted from the Championship with no standout players. You're saying, go on then, because the excuse we had from people like you last year was, but he got chucked in. He got chucked in against Liverpool. Well, this was against Burnley. He's been a Premier League player a lot longer than nearly all those Burnley players, right? And he looked scared. He looked timid. He looked frail. Second half, what we're saying is he looked better. What we mean is he just got the ball and gave it 5-yard passes. Like he doesn't really do anything. I don't know what he does. Is my worry. I don't know what he does.
And
I feel sorry for him.
Hold on, just before,
Me too.
Yeah. So before Lubo comes in with what he wants to say to us, if he's going to play that number 6 role yesterday, how many chances did Burnley get because they were running through the midfield of where he was supposed to be?
That was where they aimed the ball every time.
Well,
Nearly every time, that was where they aimed it. They literally aimed it where he was.
They did. Oh, come on. That's ridiculous.
They saw they were getting the most joy.
I watched that game. They were hitting through balls for Carl Foster to run onto.
Because there wasn't that protection in the midfield for Archie Gray should be cutting it out. That's the reason why because they saw that was the way they were going to get a goal. That's the reason why they clearly saw there was a weakness in that area, and like you said, they kept going for that for Foster because they saw it.
I'll read you what Frank said. There's one sentence that is particularly telling. Archie Gray did well, fine first half, really grew into it in the second half. And as a reminder to myself and everyone else, young players take a little bit of time. It can't be we put them out there and suddenly they are exceptional. That demands incredible talents, normal, very good talents, which I think Archie is and Bergvall is, that demands some time. So happy with his performance. So he's actually saying that he's not expecting the same level of performance from Gray and Bergvall as he does from Polina and Bentancur, which is correct.
Sure, but we do see much better from Bergvall.
Yeah,
we do see much. Listen, Bergvall for me is another one. I think people have gone way too early on. I think he's a very. I have to caveat this. Sorry, Marlon. I know you're not on my show as much as some of the others. I have to caveat what I say because people in the chat don't listen. Bergvall for me is an extremely talented young player, right? But for me, he is a talented young player that hasn't got a position yet. I still don't think he's really hammered down a position, which Frank will probably do. And he's very, very carefree with the ball. Lots of running into players, lots of giving it away, yada, yada, yada. But with him, Marlon, I watch him and go, yeah, I can see it. I've never, ever watched Gray and gone, that's why they scouted you. Now, that's only me. But apparently it sounds like it's not. It's Dan as well, and it's you. And I just don't know what the standout skill set is that he's got that made the club pay 40 million for him. He didn't do anything wrong yesterday. I just thought that he wilted at home against probably what is going to be the team that finishes bottom of the league table. And that showed me he can't be starting in Champions League games and he can't be starting against anyone better. For me. It's only for me.
Look, it's just the sad thing is people think it's always got to be a hate thing, yeah. And yeah, he has been ripped into purely because he's not good. He's not ready yet. I mean, I look at Bergvall, and when I see him on the ball, definitely rough and ragged round the edges, but you can definitely see there's a player there. You can definitely see he's got a bit of skill. With Bergvall, the thing he severely lacks and needs to improve on, and yeah, it is through experience, is the final third. He doesn't really deliver anything. He does everything in 1-2, and then when it comes to the pass or shot, you really don't get much out of him. But in time, that will progress. With other young players, you see rough and ragged, but you see a player there. With Gray, as a right back and centre back, I mean, that's like playing the player out of position, but players can play out of position sometimes for a little bit, and he done that as good as he could, so fair play there. But in his main role in midfield, every time he's done it, he's just been basically made not far off look like a clown on the pitch because they've just totally dominated him. Liverpool, not fair. Paris Saint-Germain, he should touch the ball more than once in 20 minutes, but it is Paris Saint-Germain. But once in 20 minutes, he's pretty abysmal if you want to be serious. If that was another player there who'd done that, you'd absolutely tear him a new one. Well, I'm sorry, if you're good enough for that squad, I'm going to judge you exactly the same way as I judged the others. I'll just give you a bit of leeway of experience. Well, lack of experience does not mean touching the ball once in 20 minutes he's good. At Spurs, he had the perfect chance. We even said it on a message, didn't we? You said he's picked him. I said this is his perfect chance now to show there's actually something about him in that position against a team that is probably one of the favourites to go down. And as far as I'm concerned, he screwed it up again in the aspect of he wasn't terrible, but he didn't stand out in any means or manner. He had a poor first half. And if that would have been Paulinho that had that first half, people would be going off their head. If that would have been Bentancur, they'd be ripping him a new one. If that would have been Saab, they'd be saying he's only turned up for the couple of friends.
You can't compare.
Yes, I can. Ian,
but Frank has just said that in his press conference.
What do you think?
Yeah, and Frank's going to turn up and
What do you think he's going to say? He's not going to. Frank was asked about the young midfield, and he talked about Gray, he talked about Sarr, and he talked about Bergvall. Do you truly believe he's going to sit there and go, do you know what? I thought so-and-so had a terrible game. He's too professional. I said this when I was arguing the other day with Stel about Tell. Do you truly think that he's going to turn around and go, oh, what do you think of Tell? I honestly, I really don't rate him. I've seen him training from up. I don't rate. He's not going to do that. He's a professional.
That's the other extreme, Sav. That's the other extreme. When Frank is asked a question, before he answers, he has a choice. He has the opportunity to say whatever he wants. He decides what he wants to say, like we all do when we're asked a question. He doesn't have to say that. What he said is that he's a squad player. Gray is a squad player. He's not a starter. We know he's not even.
Mate,
I think that's part of
a squad player. He's not
that's
even
part
good
of the
enough
problem.
for
I think it's a catch-22 with him because the facts are is that he's not a first-team player. He's not good enough. He's going in, he's playing right back, then he's pulled out, then he's going centre back, then he's going centre mid. He's getting no consistency, and that's because he's not playing well enough. And it's almost like then he comes in again, plays for a minute, then he gets dropped, and there's no consistency there. So we don't know what his best position is. We don't know whether
does he even know what his position is.
And I think that's part of the problem is that if, like with Bergvall, and I completely agree, I think you watch Bergvall, you go, he's got talent. But Bergvall also, because of the injuries and things, he had to play 2, 3, 4 games in his central midfield position, and then he might have grown into it. And Gray might do that. But when he comes in, he doesn't perform well enough. So therefore, he drops back out of the team. Then he drops back in again. He's got 1 game. Then he drops back out. So it's not like I'm not saying that he should start and he should start 5 games. But I think that is the problem is that he can't, like some players, they just have to have some consistency. You don't see them. They come back from a long injury. They perform instantly. That doesn't happen. Some of them need 2, 3 games to get going. And I think that's the problem with him. I think he needs 2 or 3 games to really get his rhythm. But he's not performing well enough for us to do that.
So put him out on loan.
Right, Dan, that's what I was going to say. For all the people that are going, the Archie Gray, I keep seeing in the chat, the Archie Gray hate is real. Stop this. Every time somebody's got an opinion of a footballer, if they don't wax lyrical about them, it's not hate. This is childish. For me, I think this boy needs a loan desperately.
Yes.
I think he needs to go to a club that isn't in the Champions League like Tottenham Hotspur. And I think he needs to play 46 games a season at the top of the championship.
Savva, do you know?
Give him to Burnley.
Go.
Do you know what would have been ideal for him?
Go to Birmingham with Chris Davis. Go to hang on. Go to Birmingham with Chris Davis. Go to West Brom with Ryan Mason. Right? Go in there, play in midfield, and get in the Championship Team of the Year as a DM. Go and show the world you are that good. The problem we've got is every time he plays for Spurs, there's an excuse. This young excuse, you don't get that. If someone's paid 40 million for you and you are starting in the shirt for Tottenham Hotspur, the young excuse doesn't fly. It doesn't fly. You're in the first team at Tottenham Hotspur. This is ruthless. The same people that are doing this are the same people going, wouldn't have wanted Garnacho, he's shit. Hang on. Can't we just say, well, he was young. We're going to do that for everyone, right?
Sadly.
I just think he needs to
learn. It's what I say, Savva. It's what I say. It's a dog-eat-dog world. And you just said basically that without saying the words I say. It's ruthless. And at the end of it, I think the perfect thing for someone like him, I mean, at least when Ollie Skip used to play, he had a bit of shoulders on him. He had a bit of balls on him. He had a bit of get stuck into it. Archie Gray just looks like a scared rabbit that's just seen or a hare, if you want to call it, that's just seen flashlights. Perfect for him. I think he should have gone with Mikey Moore up in Rangers. Now, I don't judge the Scottish League, but one thing you can say about it is bloody physical. I think that is his ideal thing. He's just not ready, not good enough. I don't even think he's good enough for our squad yet. I mean, do you really think he is good enough to come on as a sub against Juventus, against Dortmund, against Ajax? I mean, is he even good enough to come on against Galatasaray and teams like that? No, he's not. He didn't even show up against Burnley. He needs to go on loan for his sake. And people think it's a bloody hate and whatever. No, what we're actually doing is saying, please help this player, get him out on loan, get him some experience. But then I get your point, Ian. I don't agree with it, on where you believe he'll do better with 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there in a game here, sticking next to someone like Paulinho. That's perfectly fine. Think that. I just personally think go get him 30 games in a season and up in Scotland, and he will learn a lot more.
I think it's more telling. If you look at what Thomas Frank had said, he had to speak more about Archie Gray in what he said than he did Bergvall, because Bergvall performed. So it was kind of the scenario of I need to say some stuff to make sure that Gray's doesn't get down on his performance, because Bergvall, we're not questioning, no one questioned, but he talks about Gray and then mentions about Gray and Bergvall being in midfield. But no, he knew straight away that a lot of people would have been questioning Gray's performance yesterday, and that's the reason why. He went on
to say that normal, very, very good talents, which I think Archie is and Bergvall is, that demand some time. So happy with his performance. Lucas overall was very good as well. Top actions from both players.
I think our biggest problem
again, he has to include Lucas, because otherwise, but he knows that everyone's going to be questioning Archie Gray, and that's why most of that sentence for that is about Archie.
I have a question. I don't know why I'm putting my hand up on my own channel. I have a question.
God, you can talk now, Savva.
Thank you. Cheers, Marlon. Thank you. I'll ask this. If Archie Gray had played like he did yesterday, today for Arsenal, or for Chelsea, or for Villa, or for Newcastle, you get the drift. Are fans like Lubo sitting there going, but he's young, but this, but that, or are we actually going, why on earth have they bought that player?
But then we justify. Look, this is the bit that actually does frustrate me, and I don't want this conversation to go, because I'm at the point where I'm just sick of hearing his name. But it does come up as part of it. A lot of Spurs fans, we sit here and we say, right, Levy, we want this. Why haven't you paid off for Eze yet? Why haven't you got in for Savinha yet? Why aren't you spending 70 mil? Why aren't you buying big players? Yet we go and spunk 40 million up the wall on a player that has never even played in a top bloody league and has only ever played in Championship and only ever played the majority of time out of his so-called position, and then bloody justify it for the next 2 seasons. What do people actually bloody want? If you're going to sit there and start justifying the Archie Gray, who I don't think is good enough, and the Odegaard and the Tell and everything, then basically shut up and practice what you preach. Not at you, Ian, in general. And don't moan that we don't go and get the Savinho. Don't moan that we don't get Eze. And don't moan about others and that. What do people actually want? If you're going to justify the crap, then don't moan that we don't get the good stuff.
The biggest problem
is actually getting frustrating, and that's not at you, Ian, personally. That's not at you.
If Paulinho gets injured, we're going in with either Gray as being the backup or Bentancur coming out of the position and going back into the more defensive side of things, which didn't work last year. So I think that's the biggest problem, is that it's all right us saying, and you're right, he's not a first team, he's not a starter, he's not going to start week in, week out. However, just as the reason why he played yesterday was because Bentancur and Paulinho needed to be either rested or whatever. So we're that close to him being a player that we have to rely on, and we won't get to choose the game. We won't be able to go, oh, I tell you what, we'll put him in against Burnley. This could be, he might have to play against Real Madrid. And I think that's where the problem lies, is that there needs to be this. He needs to be a player. If he's in a squad, he can't be your second choice, because if he is, that's going to be
the fact, you're right. Look, the fact that people are saying Skips and Winks performed better than what Archie Gray has for us. Skips and Winks actually performed better at that age.
Winks was a better player. Winks was our best player in Madrid.
And that
Winks was actually at youth level. Winks and Skip were both talked about by the Spanish midfielders as being absolute top drawer at the under 14, 15, 16. So it all swings and roundabouts. Some players just develop at different stages and things like that. So
that's right. And the other thing also, Luke, is that Bissouma isn't going to play another game for Spurs. I don't see it.
No, and that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I think he'll be gone. I think he'll be gone before the window closes.
If we get rid of him, I think that's actually now, after yesterday and after what happened at PSG, question that I did ask, I think Bissouma needs to go. I don't think his mentality's with it. I think he's a good player, but I just don't think he's got the mentality for it. He's too much of a clown at the end of the day. But the problem is, I don't think we can, unless we're going to get rid of him and put another centre mid in there, we can't afford to let Bissouma go. Why? Because we dropped to a little boy on the pitch who who just cannot perform even against Burnley and touches the ball once against Paris Saint-Germain. At least with if say, for instance, just example, and Bissouma is not a good defender, but right, we have to take Bentancur off or we have to take Sarr off or whatever, and we drop to Bissouma. Okay, drop from there to there. We drop to Archie Gray, I might as well chuck him off a bloody cliff. That is how big the drop is with him.
We saw it Wednesday. We saw the massive drop when Archie Gray came on Wednesday.
What he could have done Wednesday, thinking about it, was drop Bentancur into that position and bring Boval on in 72 minutes. That's what he could have done.
But then you're destroying. But then you're destroying the midfield.
I'll answer my question though. I want to know if
Midfield
Lugo will
was
answer my
destroyed
question.
anyway. They pissed through us for 20 minutes.
I want to know if Lugo's going to answer my question.
Go on, Sav.
Well, I asked the question. Nobody gave me the actual answer.
Well, go on, refresh your
If
memory.
you were watching these Archie Gray performances for any other Premier League team, would you sit there and go, "Yes, that's who I want to buy. He looks really good."
It's funny actually. Well, the Arsenal fans today, I saw.
I'm asking you. I'm asking. I don't want to Arsenal fans. I'm asking you. I'm not asking the Arsenal fans. If you had watched him play like that yesterday for Villa or for Newcastle or for, I don't know, Burnley, whoever, are you telling me you're going, yeah, this is the future I want? This is the boy we should be paying 40 million for.
Sam, if you listen, firstly, the fee's got nothing to do with it.
It's got everything to do with it.
No, it hasn't. No,
It's
it hasn't.
got everything to do with it.
He doesn't pick the fee that they are paying. No player does.
No. Hang on. Again, who said he picked the fee?
Right.
Again, this is the emotion, and this is the emotion because you've backed him so heavily. The emotion is no. Let me finish a sentence, right? The emotion because you've backed him so much is such that you think me calling it out is me blaming him. I don't blame Archie Gray. I've got nothing against the lad. I feel sorry for the lad that he's been bought at such a big price, chucked in at Spurs when I don't think he's ready yet. And what will happen is in 2.5, 3 years, if suddenly he gets better, you'll go, there you go, like 3 years down the line. The point about the fee, as Dan and I argued with you all last year, that fee takes away from proper players who are ready. Right now, if I said to you that 40 million, right, let's say we didn't spend it last summer, we could be going and buying Conor Gallagher this summer. And Conor Gallagher could be in our Champions League squad as an option. Paulinho, Conor Gallagher, Bentancur, rather.
So we had the money last season because he went after Gallagher.
But that's not what I'm talking about. We didn't spend it. So the money is relevant, Lubo, because we're sitting here now going, Paul, what can we spend on players and yada, yada, yada. And we need investment in the team to buy players. 40 million, whichever way you spin it up. I'm not blaming him. I can't say it any more times. He should be getting a proper loan. He has never had a full season in his life at central midfield. Why can't we give that to him? Why wouldn't we want to give that to him?
We don't have the depth in that position. If you lose, if Paulinho and Bentancur get injured,
so you've answered my question.
And Gray's on loan.
So that's why the money matters, because the depth was bought. He's the depth that's been bought, Lubo.
Yeah.
You've just answered my question.
I'm sorry, Sam. We're not Brentford. We're not Millwall. I'm sorry. We are Tottenham Hotspur. We have the
exactly.
money.
So we shouldn't have Archie Gray for 40 million if we're Tottenham Hotspur.
Exactly.
Hang on a second. Wait 1 second. Do we judge a player? Do we judge a player on how much he costs, or do we judge a player on his age, his development, how many games he's played, what position he's playing in, or? I disagree.
You judge on all of it.
You do have to include everything.
On a point of is he value for money? Well, how can a 90-year-old be value for money, Dan?
Right. Let me put it this. Okay, fair points. Fair points.
We overpaid for an 18-year-old.
Let me put it this way then. Right. Since you've seen him at Spurs, play on the right, play centre back, play in midfield, play in DM, whatever you want to call it. Right. Has he justified? Simple answers. Has he justified the 40 million? because sadly it does come into it, whether we like it or not. Has he justified that he was worth 40 million instead of buying what's his face who went to Roma, who's just gone to bloody Inter? Yeah. What has he justified us paying 40 million for him? Simple yes or no.
Has he done his job?
It's a simple yes. No, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions to go through basically everything you just said. Ian, just answer it with a yes or no. Has he justified the 40 million price tag? It is as simple as that, mate. Right. Has he justified to get paid 75 grand a week?
Dan, I have said to you that no 18-year-old coming out of the Championship is worth 40 million. I've said that. I said that
right.
a minute
then
ago.
Fair enough. Then fair enough. Brilliant. Okay. Has he justified that he's on 75 grand a week? Has he justified that he's even should be in our first team? Has he justified that he should even be on our subs bench? Has he performed enough to even say he should be in a 25-man squad? The poor boy needs a bloody loan, for God's sake. Get him up. I mean, look what Arsenal did with Saliba. They bought him for about 25 mil. It could be something to do with that. It could be something to do with that.
This is the problem.
Luke, that's a solid point.
We're so worried about registrations because we don't do things correctly that we're having to either keep a player and stop him from developing because it doesn't make any sense. But that's the only reason why I think it is, because Lubo's right in a way that if we go and sign an Archie Gray, we are a big enough club that we should be able to have someone else that's not just relying on him as the backup. But unfortunately, we don't operate like that. So what the guys are saying, and they're right, is that if we're going to spend 40 million, unfortunately, it has to be for someone who's ready now, because otherwise, if we get an injury, then we're back to where we are. And unfortunately, we've gone and signed 2 first-team players this summer, and we are still in the same predicament. Whereas if Palhinha gets injured, we're still going to have Gray as our backup, and it's not good enough. That's the problem, is that we get, and when you've got an X amount of money, which isn't astronomical, you then have to make sure that you've got a squad capable, and then you go and bring the youngsters in. So you go and maybe at the end of the window where you've got your first 11, you've got your backups, you go, right, we could go and drop now 40 Gray on Gray, because Gray could come in, he could play here, he could do that, but we don't have the squad for it. That's the problem. And it looks like we spent Gray on 40 million on Gray, but not gone and got an adequate centre midfielder instead.
It is the problem. 18-year-olds should be eased in that have X amounts of games in a season, 10, 15 minutes, ease them in. Gray played 46 out of 61 games last season. He played three-quarters of the games, which shows you the lack of depth of squad that we had. We all said that.
Yeah. Everyone has basically said that he wasn't good enough. The only reason he got cut slack is because he ain't a centre-back and that. Look what Arsenal did with Saliba, for God's sake. But it's not a hate thing. People are saying, get him out on loan. Don't send him to Millwall. Don't send him to Charlton.
We don't have the squad. Arsenal have a big squad. They have a big squad of established players. We didn't do that. We went and bought kids last year.
No, because we went and bought Gray.
No.
We done it the wrong way round.
We brought in 5 players and 4 of them were kids. And then after that, you go and get Kinski and then you go and get Tell. And it just carries on and carries on. And then you get Kai.
And then you get people justifying it. Then you get people justifying Archie Gray when you're now complaining about it.
Hold on, Luke, quick question.
It's just agitating.
You said that he played how many games last year? Or how many games? 40. Have you seen an improvement, considering he got that amount of game time? Have you seen an improvement from him since he started playing? He
played in 4 different positions.
But that's not my question. My question: have you seen an improvement in him to go? Actually,
from
when he first got here.
What am I judging him
from when he saw his first game to now? Because Bergvall, we've seen an improvement. Sarr, we've now seen an improvement. But have you seen an improvement after 40? He's had enough game time for us to be going. Actually, we can now see why Spurs went in for you. Forget the money now. Why even Spurs went for you? He's had 40 odd games. That's enough game time, because I
don't think he improved the way he should have done last year, but then most players didn't improve the way they should have done last year because they had no coaching. There was no structure. He will improve under Frank. There's no question.
We've done our whole transfer strategy has been done the wrong way around. What you're supposed to do is you go and get your experienced pros, your good pros into a team, and then you bring youngsters in that they can learn from. What we've done is gone and got all of the youngsters, and now we're trying to get the experienced pros for them to learn off. So at the moment, all the youngsters are learning from the youngsters. So that's why they're making more and more mistakes. It doesn't make any sense. So I think that Gray's not shown the levels that we expected and hoped for. but also we've not put him in the right scenario and situation where it would have allowed him to show them levels. But again, it comes back to when you spend £40 million on someone, that's the big problem.
I think the big thing for us Spurs fans is you've got to look at the three players that he's probably competing with, and that's Sarr, Bergvall, and him. And no matter under Ange, we saw an improvement from the other two. No matter how we want to put it, we have seen an improvement of them going forward.
I wouldn't say Sarr improved under Ange at all.
He did. If you watch some of the Europa League games in the thing, he was part of he was there for the final, was part of the goal. You just go see him in the early games, he was doing stuff where Archie Gray's never been.
Marlon,
for me, that's just me.
Right, but Marlon, they weren't switched around in different positions, were they?
I get that, but I still expect to see an improvement from
in the back four, were they?
Yeah, but I still expect to see some sort of improvement. But he's been better in the back four than he has when he's been when he's been put in the position that he said that he wants to play. And I think that's the big thing. That's the big thing for me is that he wants to play in centre midfield. I'd rather him as a centre back, and I didn't even like him there. His best position is probably at right back, and because that's where we signed him from. He was a right back when we signed him.
Well, he played the first 20-odd games for Leeds in central midfield, and then they got an injury at right back.
And then he played right back, and then moved to and that's when everyone started looking at him. That is when he basically became on everyone's radar when he was playing at right back.
The problem, if you said yes, get Gray out for a loan. Fine, send him out for a loan. Send him to the right club who are going to play him in midfield every week and give him a chance to grow and to develop. We sell Bissouma. We get 2 or 3 injuries. We're playing a lot of games this, between now and Christmas. Who we got to come in? Who are you going to bring in? They're going to be looking into the under-21s because there aren't the players.
Hence why we'll go back to my point that the value of the player absolutely mattered, because that £40 million, if you go and buy a young player that you think is going to take 2 to 3 years to come good, you don't spend 40 million on that. You spend 10.
But
5,
you would normally
10.
get Sav. The only reason that it was 40.
I know why. Because Brentford went in.
Normally
that doesn't make it right.
No, right. But Sarr was 12. Udogie was 17. Kinski was 12. Bergvall was 8.5. Most of the kids they're buying. Phillips was 2. Devine was, I don't know what, hardly anything. 1 million, 2 million. Devine, I don't know. They're not generally, apart from the Odebear, who they bought from, Burnley were Premier League and had just been relegated. They bought Odebear off his performances in the Premier League. Tell and Gray are the only 3 kids that they've spent big money on. All the other kids, that Vuskovic was 8 million, 10 million. So they're not spending a lot of money normally on kids.
Yeah, but that's not what that's what you're supposed to do. They're doing what you're supposed to do. As I said, you get your first 11 sorted, and then if you've got, I know it's not spare, but if you've got a spare 40 million at the end of a transfer window, you might go, all right, well, we've got our midfield settled. Let's bring Gray in. You don't do it like, for me, when Gray come in, I'm still expecting another central midfielder to come in and replace Højbjerg. I'm not expecting Gray to be the finished article. So, and what the guys are saying is, as Spurs fans, we should probably know that Spurs are not going to operate in signing Gray and then going to sign another, and that's the problem.
No, but they tried to. Ange wanted Gallagher, and they tried to get Gallagher the whole summer. He was never going to join.
But then again, it's another alternative. Then you can't just have one player that you've got.
Absolutely.
So, and then again, it's the same thing with Tell. And I said this with Tell. I'm not against Tell signing on the basis that we bring in another left winger that he learns from. But are we going to do that? Obviously, the Savino deal is being linked. But that is the problem, is that we don't know the full structure of it. We need to start just actually buying players that improve the 11 and then worry about sprinkling it with youngsters after the fact, because otherwise we get another Archie Gray situation. Like, nobody's saying it about Bergvall. We're saying, like, with Bergvall, for instance, we think he can do a job here, he can do a job there, but nobody's really caring about that because it was 8 million. And if Gray cost 8 million, we may be going, oh, it's not really that big of a deal, let's loan him out, whatever. It's the fact he took up such a massive transfer part of our budget that stopped us. That might have been the reason we didn't get Gallagher. It might have been that we didn't have that 15 million extra to go.
They had the money. They ended up spending it on Solanke. When Gallagher said no, then they went and bought Solanke.
Well, I think that would have been if your centre midfielder says no, you don't go and sign your first high striker. There must have been.
Well, they went.
More
He left it so late. Solanke was late on in the transfer window, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So,
I just don't get. What I don't get is why this young. Why is this the one you've chosen to back tooth and nail, Lubo? Like, what have you? Hang on. Let me let me finish the sentence, right? What are you seeing that most others are not? Like, what are you seeing? I mean, he was so good at Leeds that they moved him out of centre mid and played him at right back. He's been so good at Spurs that we never start him in centre mid, and when we do, he doesn't even stand out. Be burnt. What is it that you've seen? Because I don't see one standout quality to him. I'm not saying, by the way, let me caveat, I'm not saying he won't be a good footballer in the future. I don't see one thing where I go, God, look at that. That is, yeah. Like Bergvall, when he drops his shoulder and goes, you go, he's got something, this boy. He's got something. He drives to the... With Gray, I don't know what it is other than passing the ball 5 yards sideways. George Abbott could do that.
I think firstly, let me say, I think Bergvall's a better player than Gray.
Massively.
For sure. And Bergvall's further on in his development than Gray is. I know they're the same age, they're both 19, but Bergvall is by far a better player than Gray. What do I see in Gray? It's interesting. Is that the things that I saw in Gray were the things that Ozzy Ardiles said to me he sees in Gray. He sees a really good mentality. He sees.
You mean someone who works for the football club?
A terrible manager.
Like you mean someone who's
really got relegated.
That's like me. That's like me bringing on Ledley King, right? That's like me bringing Ledley King onto this show and expecting him to say anything other than great things about everything at Tottenham Hotspur.
I asked Ozzy, the question I asked him was, everyone's been saying we've got a really good set of kids coming through. Who do you think the next kid will be that breaks into the first team and establishes himself? That was the question I asked him. Now, he could have given me any number of three or four players, but he said Archie Gray. And
okay,
I said,
so if Ange said that, if you asked that question to Ange, would you believe him?
If I asked him,
Ange, considering you didn't like him.
Oh,
and you also said he's full of it all the time as well.
Yeah.
Well, why would Ardiles? Why would he give me a load of bullshit? I don't know.
The reason why I'm asking is because Ardiles was a Spurs manager who nearly got us relegated. So I'm asking his credentials.
The good days, Marlon. The good days.
The good old days when we had to go to Oldham to survive.
Yeah.
Lubo, I'm old enough to remember this.
If I'm going to be honest, you say Bergvall. Bergvall is a better player, yeah? But if I'm going to be totally honest, I don't want Bergvall in my first team. Okay, I think I can have him on the subs bench, but I want a more established player for now, ready for the Champions League. Not so much progressing, and don't get me wrong, I think Bergvall's good, but I don't really want him in the first 11. I want someone who's established now.
He's not in the first 11, Dan.
He was all last season. Well, for at least half of it. And he started again today. Where it's going to go from there, we will see. But he's not someone I would want in my first team as a starter. I don't think he's quite good enough for that. I would rather a more established player for now that can do things now. I think Luke banged the nail on the head totally when he said we went totally the wrong way about it. You're meant to do what a Ferguson did, basically, and that's have your established good players there and then slowly but surely start dropping the other ones into it. Not basically go buying out the kids and everything else and all that. It's just... And then people complain when we don't go out and spend the money on an Eze or this and that. But then they sit there and bloody justify Archie Gray, for God's sake. Look, I'm just sick to death of it. Just accept it. He actually needs a loan, the poor boy. He needs a loan. He needs game time.
People like this say things like this. This conversation is absolutely brain dead. Well, not really, because you've got two different sides of the debate, so it's good. But Archie Gray will be playing for England in a couple of years. Cool. Based off what?
No, he won't.
Based off what, Luke? By the way, I've seen many a person get an England cap. What does that what does that mean?
No, he means the under-21, Savva. He'll be playing for the under-21s. He'll be 20 then, won't he?
He's already playing the under-21s.
Archie Gray.
No, he's not. He's on the subs bench.
Can't get in the under 21 team.
He's already played.
That's what I'm saying. He'll be in the under 21 team. That's what you mean.
And Lubo, where did he play? Where did he play in the under 21s? Those two games. He played right. So the under 21 manager don't play him in centre mid, right? Ange didn't play him in centre mid, but people are telling me he'll be playing in midfield.
Hang on, Sam. Why is he meant to be the best under 21 player that England can play? Hackney's 3 years ahead of him in development. Why? And Hackney didn't even get him.
So right now, if I said to you, we should buy Hayden Hackney and send Gray to Middlesbrough on loan as part of the deal, would you take it?
Would I take it? If you said let's do a loan swap, then yes, I probably would.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Marlon, do you believe him? I feel like he's completely shit the bed there.
And then bring Gray back next year. Then bring him back next year.
If I said to any Spurs fan right now, should we go and buy Hayden Hackney? I bet you, everyone in the chat, who would take Hayden Hackney right now? Everyone in the chat, let me know if you take Hayden.
Sav, he's not going to get in that first team, is he?
What first team?
He's not going to get in the first 11, Hackney. Your first three midfield players.
That's not what I asked. Right. That's not what I asked. Should Gray be playing central midfield for the England under 21s?
Let me ask you a question. Is Hackney going to get into our first 11?
You didn't answer my question. You can't just come back with a question until you've answered my one. Did you see who played under 21s midfield in front of him? Was the lad, can't even remember his name, who went on loan to Hull last season. Gray was playing Premier League football. The kid who was on loan at Hull started in central midfield in front of him.
Talk about Philogene, who went back to Hull from Villa.
No, I'm talking about Morton. No, was it Tyler Morton? Maybe.
Tyler Morton.
One of them was starting in the under 21s in front of him. He was on loan at Hull. Archie Gray's playing and winning Europa Leagues. Why is he not playing central midfield in front of them?
They're 2021. Do you agree what Stell said? 18 to 21 is an important period for development, and players are developing at different times. But normally, a 19-year-old has got a year more experience, and because that holds them in good stead. Then when you're 20, you've improved again, and you're 21, you improve again. So you see the caveats. So the caveats are when it suits, he's young. I'm just off,
right.
I'm just
when it suits, he's young. Okay, so here's my caveat then. So if he's not ready and all those other players were, why did we sign him and not them?
Because they'd obviously been watching Gray and probably weren't going to buy it. Probably were waiting to see how he progressed a bit for another season.
Cheers,
but
Marlon.
Because Brentford went in, that forced their hand, didn't it?
No.
If our youth academy is that bloody good.
That's the problem, Lubo. It hasn't forced their hand. It's just a poor decision in a transfer market again, unfortunately. It might end up being a good one.
In your opinion, Luke, right? If Spurs were monitoring Gray for all that time, like Lubo said, how much do you think they would have ideally wanted to have paid for him?
Well, you're judging it because I've already seen him play for 2 years, but from the Championship, I wouldn't have been expecting to spend 40 million. I would have said 20, 25 million would have probably been where you would want to go.
I would say 10 to 15, but even if we're going to go by your reckoning of 20 million, are we saying somebody bid that much money for a kid who we rated at 20 million and suddenly Daniel Levy went, yep, this is completely against my MO, 40 million, oh, go on, then you've got my hand against my back. Like, oh, come on.
No, but that's what I mean. It's just, it's a really strange signing on the basis that Spurs don't operate like that regardless. So normally it's like, someone else has come in for him. Oh, we'll just avoid it then. It's not, oh, whatever they've offered, we'll just pay more. Like in this case. So I think that the whole signing is very, very strange on the basis that we brought nobody else in. That is the most confusing thing about it for me.
The other thing with me on there is if this youth academy we got is so bloody great and so excellent, like some people preach it up, then why the hell can't none of them get on there in front of bloody Archie, bloody Gray, and Odegaard, and we still go and buy Tells and that, if this youth system we've got, this under 21s and this under 18s, is that impeccable? Why can't none of them even see the
crop
pitch?
we've seen? Isn't it the best crop
Exactly.
we've seen for years?
And seriously, that is what I'm saying. If this under 21s and this under 18s is the dog's bollocks, like a lot of people say and preach, then why can't they even get on over Archie Gray, Odegaard, and Tell, who has probably been worse than Archie Gray? And why do we keep buying young players if this youth academy is as good as people say?
Even so, Dan, and this is what people don't really understand, is that the way you develop youth players, your 18s, your 19s, your 17-year-olds, is completely different to everywhere else. So they're supposed to come into settled teams with experienced players. You don't just throw them in. For instance, everyone kept telling me Ajay should have been starting last year. But if you checked his stats in the second division of the Premier League with PL2, it was 18 games, 3 goals. This weren't a guy that was terrorising teams that were his age. He came in for us, scored 1 great goal. It was a brilliant night for the club. But because of that, similar to Richarlison, he should be starting every single game. It's the youth players that we have aren't at the level that a lot of our fans think that they are at.
But Luke, the other day, let's move to that conversation before we move to Eze and transfers. Let's move to that conversation and take this away from Archie Gray. I said the other day, Luke, on the Spurs 5, it was 4 against 1. Right? And I said, they're all going, I can't believe all of these young players are being loaned out. And I'm sitting there going, why can't you believe it? Which ones of them do you actually believe should be playing for Tottenham Hotspur? Which ones? I literally read it out, Luke, right? I read it out again. Mikey Moore, Dorrington, Phillips, Vuskovic, Yang, Abbott, Hall, Lancashire, Donnelly, Scarlett, Devine, Valise, Ajayi. Which one of those should be starting for Spurs?
The only 2 that would be in and around the squad for me are Vuskovic, because we don't know if we're getting another centre-back, and if we do, he goes out on loan. And the only other one would be Donnelly because of Maddison. But that he was put up loan before Maddison got the injury. So all the others should go out on loan because they're not good enough to improve this 11. We sit here and say the 11's not good enough. Now we should play all the youngsters that are not as good as the ones in the 11, which then means we're going to get worse. That's just how it works.
Well, the club obviously think that the players need a year's development out on loan, rather than keep them and maybe not getting game time or playing under 21 football. They'd rather than be playing at a higher level in the Football League.
And Dan's going to say to you, why don't we do that with Archie Gray? Lubo?
Exactly. That is what you have just fucking said, mate. Sorry, Savva. Ian, you have just dropped yourself right in it there, mate. Then why don't they go and do it with Archie bloody Gray then? God's sake.
Because Gray's come from a league team. Gray's come from a championship team. These boys have been playing it in the academy. That's the difference, Dan. Odegaard came from a league team. Tell's another example with the others. Tell came basically from reserves of Bayern Munich.
This isn't true. Let me let you know why. Mikey Moore's just played in the Premier League and the Europa League, right? Dorrington spent the second half of last season playing in the Scottish Premier League, right? Hang on. Ashley Phillips has just had 3 years playing in the Championship, the same as Archie Gray. Vuskovic, you keep telling me, has had 2 years at top level. I don't believe they're top leagues. You said top leagues. Lancashire last year went on loan to West Brom Championship. Donnelly, was at League One, right? Scarlett last year. Scarlett was out on loan to Oxford in the Championship and then was playing in the Europa League for Spurs. So why is it different for all of those? And are you telling me that if Gray hadn't have been bought, we wouldn't be asking for the same thing?
If Gray hadn't have been bought, he may well have been pushed out on it.
This is what I don't get. This is what I don't
know. You know, Gray is part of Thomas Frank's remit. He's with the first team squad, and Stuart Lewis, I believe, is organising the kids coming up and bringing them up to the level that the first team require. So he obviously doesn't think that they're up to it for this year, and they've sent them out on loan.
Right. I'll say something here then that a few people ain't going to like. For me, if Thomas Frank thinks Archie Gray is good enough for that first team on a consistent basis, then I'm going to question Thomas Frank. If he thinks he's good enough to come on for that Champions League, then I'm going to start questioning the manager. I'm going to start questioning his judgment.
I don't reckon he starts those games down unless they're.
No, I hope he don't. But I'm just saying, if he thinks he's actually good enough for that first team, okay, it's his judgment, whatever, and that. But then I will definitely start questioning him straight away because he's not good enough. He's not even good enough for the Premier League. Tell me one team, that he gets into on a consistent basis in that Premier League. One.
Listen, we'll agree to disagree on this. I think
fair enough. No, fair enough. I'll go with that, Ian. Just agree to disagree, mate.
Obviously, he's not a starter, but I think he'll learn more shadowing Paulinho in training. I think he'll learn more under Frank's tutelage than going to a championship team where, I don't know, the coach is nowhere near as good as Thomas Frank and Cochrane and the others.
I'll just agree to disagree. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Let's move on from that conversation. First of all, should we have the chat of how there is 1,000 people in here and only 290 likes? I think we should do that conversation, that we've got a 29% conversion rate. Guys and girls, please, right now, listen, everyone wants to join in the chat. Everyone wants to give their 2 pence, but you can't all click a button. Please do. And we've only had 5 subscribers all night. We are 5 subscribers away from 21,600. So please do smash that button. Please subscribe to Spotlight on Spurs. Please subscribe to the Spurs 5 and please subscribe to the Hotspur Hood as well. Let's move on, guys, because this is one that will get everyone in the chat riled up. I put a poll out at the beginning of this show. Actually, before I do that, big up to Rodney Roberts. Said, big up, guys. You notice no mention of Bissouma at all. Well, Bissouma got injured yesterday or was Friday in training. Bissouma got injured. I'm pretty sure, I think we can all agree he will probably be moving out this summer, but we'll talk about him when we talk about transfers in a minute. Big up to you, my man, Rodney. Always very generous to me. NSG has said maybe Lubo is colourblind and all he sees is grey. I like that. Very good. Very good. Very, very good. It's funny because there are much better players than Gray at other clubs that he always says he wouldn't want. But hey, it is what it is. Big up to you, Ennis. Faz, big up to you. He said, do we rate Sarr now? Many didn't 3 seasons ago. Faz, for me, I think it's what Dan E said earlier in the show. I think we're seeing some good performances from Sarr, but I want to see that over a season. I want to see consistently over a season that these players put in good performances, because we're doing now what we did with Richie. Someone has a good game and we go, they're amazing. He looks a lot better. He looks a lot, for me, I think Frank already, what I've seen, he's getting much better performances out of him. But can they do it over a year, Faz? That's the question. Can we get some consistency going? And I know football fans don't like consistency, but it's needed. Big up to you, my man. Thank you very much for that. Let me have a look at the poll. Let's have a look at the poll. So I asked a simple question. How frustrated are you with this transfer window? The options were not at all, a little bit, or very. Not at all has 13% of 1,000 votes. A little bit has 32% and very 56%. So that is 87% are either a little bit frustrated or very frustrated, Luke. We're now at the stage where when we wake up tomorrow morning, I made that sound like me and you are going to wake up together. That sounds really weird. Feel
Not
free
this
to pop
weekend,
over,
mate.
Luke.
Not this weekend.
Feel free to
Not
pop over.
tonight,
We'll have a
mate.
cuddle.
Snooker's on.
Yeah. But when we all wake up tomorrow morning and we all desperately check our phones for some sort of Fabrizio news, it's going to be 14 days, Luke, until the transfer window shuts. Are people getting frustrated, and do they have a right to be?
I think everybody's getting frustrated now. It's not just that we haven't brought in certain players. I think it's just how long all of those players have gone on for. Like the Morgan Gibbs-White situation felt like it went on for ages. Eze now going on ages. And then also what's not helping is you're getting a report is it's close, it's off, he's not playing, he's not in the squad, he's starting. So I think everybody's getting frustrated now. We all know that the money's there. We all know that the Morgan Gibbs-White money hasn't been spent. We all know that there seems to be 60, 70 million pound bids going in for 2 players, but that seems to be the end of it. There doesn't seem to be any progress being made really on any of them fronts. So I completely understand it, and I just dread to think what it will be like when we do wake up the first day of the transfer window ending, and if no one's through the door.
What this is getting like, this Spurs transfer window, and it isn't really no different to any other at the end of it. But this thing with Eze has been going on for nearly 2 years. It is worse than a bloody divorce, the way it's lagging on, and it's just lagging on that bad that you're just that sick and tired of it. You're just like, just sign him or just go get someone else. I mean, don't get me wrong, I want him here big time, but I'm just at that point now, which get it done or just leave it.
Hopefully it goes like a divorce, because at the end of the divorce, you get the good thing, which is the divorce. So hopefully we get the Eze.
Yeah, only if you're the wife.
Well, would you like to know what Paul O'Keefe said in the last hour?
Oh, no.
Yeah. So Paul O'Keefe said in the last hour.
Oh, dear.
No.
By the way, just quickly before I read this out, I was just doing some tidying up in my YouTube studio earlier, and I saw a show I did with 50 days of the window to go, and it was 40 days of the window to go. And I can't believe we're down to the last fortnight. I just cannot believe it. Paul O'Keefe said this: Tottenham Hotspur do want to bring in all 3 positions, a 10, a left winger, and a left centre-back this summer, if they can. Lubo, that's a lot of work to do in 14 days for this club and this recruitment team, isn't it? Three 60+ million pound players in 2 weeks. This will be some sort of Guinness record, wouldn't it, for Tottenham?
Well, it will be, but there does seem to be a change at the club. We've never had Morgan Gibbs-White come through. Had that come off, we would have spent 120 million in 3 days. That's never happened before. So I do think that Vinay is pulling the strings much more, and Levy is pulling less strings. I said that before. I still think that. And if we're in for 3 players that are going to, and we're going to spend a lot of money, then Levy's definitely got less to do with it than he has done for the last 25 years. So I'm just working on logic. Sorry, Dan, go on.
Did Eze get an injury today? I mean, because from what I saw, he went down holding his foot.
Correct. After the free kick.
I don't think so. He got up.
He got up.
It was subbed off, wasn't it?
Okay. It was just a question. I didn't see that. See the game.
It was subbed off.
I just saw pictures.
About maybe 12. I don't know. Somebody in the chat will give me the exact number. It's something like 12 minutes, 11 minutes to go, and he gave the whole clap. Then, when all the players went off, Dan, he came back on the pitch on his own, giving the wave, and obviously everyone went.
I didn't see the thing. I just saw the pictures on X and everything, and it just come into my head. I didn't see the game, so I was just asking again.
Wait, Savva, did you just insinuate a Spurs fan overreacted to the fact that he went back onto? No, not my Spurs fans. They wouldn't overreact.
And somebody sent me a screenshot earlier of somebody's posted something about Eze from Richard Romano, and Dominic Solanke liked it. They're like, there you go. Dominic Solanke liked it. Eze's coming. But look, guys, it is starting to be a real circus. And, we jested yesterday, Lubo, the group, talking about it would almost be nice to go back to the days of teletext signings. Do you remember where you'd have to flick through and wait for teletext to get back around to the football page so you could go, oh, so-and-so signed.
That's right.
We're hearing so much.
301, wasn't it?
301, 302 and all that, We're seeing a lot of news that lots of people want to blame Levy, typical Levy. A lot of people are blaming Parish. A lot of people are saying, oh, what did you expect with these two working together? But it is now getting to the point where you think, this is Eze from Palace. This isn't Rodrigo from Real Madrid. Are we making a bit of a meal of this, aren't we? Or is it not us? In your humble opinion, of course.
Was that for Lubo?
You asking me?
Yeah.
I think, listen, the fact they're being ambitious and going after these players for me is a major plus. You don't always get what you want. It's not always in your hands. You know, you can't just walk in and say, right, I'm taking that player. I'll give you X amount. You know, sign it all and come to the club. There's so many different variables involved, and Paris isn't the easiest for people to deal with. I still think we'll get it over the line. I don't think we'll get it over the line maybe before the 1st of September. No, on this occasion, if we don't get
everyone knows you, Lubo.
Yeah.
Everyone knows you. If we sign these three players,
and it's suddenly Vinay again. Listen, I said that a few weeks ago, didn't I? That I thought that Vinay was more in charge. That's why they brought him in. Otherwise, what are they bringing him in for? Seriously.
So if it's so hard to get the sorry. Go on.
So I think.
Okay, so if it's so. Go on. I'll keep quiet.
I think we'll get two of them in before the end of the transfer window.
What are we talking? Savio, Eze?
Yes.
You think we get them both in? What about Hincapi?
No.
I think this is quite a recent thing, isn't it? And big transfers take time to work on.
But should it? He's got, from what I'm hearing, and I'm not an ITK, just what I've been told by a few people, is he's got a release clause. If he's got a release clause, which I'm being told, could someone in the chat, if they could go and find out, I'm being told he's got a £52 million release clause. Why would that big transfer take time if he's got a £52 million release clause? Well, surely that's the quickest of all deals to do.
I think I've read a report Chelsea are looking at him as well. So if Chelsea are looking at him, then forget it. They'll just move, bang, 2 days and it's done.
This is Spurs. Nothing's easy.
Yeah.
But Lubo, I do have a question. You said it was Vinay that are doing the transfers. If it all falls through, is it Vinay's fault or is it Levy's fault?
No, it's Vinay's fault.
And the other question with it as well.
Are the protests then changed to Vinay out?
Could be.
I don't care about Vinay. He don't care about me.
Right.
Yeah. I love Kulusevski, or will it be I love Kudus now? One or the other. But so if the transfers are that hard and they don't always go your way, no matter what you do, no matter what effort you put in, this and that, is Levy really to blame for everything then if they're really that hard?
If it's that type of situation where he's done his best and things don't work out, then he's done his best and you can't knock somebody for doing their best. But you know, when you've got players that have signed and then you hear that, you know, that he's messing about with fees and changing stuff, then that's down to him. That's down to him.
Fair enough.
So you think we'll get Eze and Savio?
Yes, by September.
But you don't think we're going to get Hincapi?
No, I've just got a feeling that if Chelsea are getting involved, then they blow us out the water anyway, don't they?
Yeah. By the way, I am reading here now on multiple sources that he's got a 60 million euro. He's got a release clause of 50 million euros in his contract until 2029, or 60 million euros. Sorry, so 52 million quid, roughly 52 million quid is his release clause.
Correct, 52.17. Yeah.
So 52 for him, 70 for Savio, and 60 for Eze.
182 million.
182 million, guys. I mean, this isn't our club.
It's not happening.
We're not going to sign Hincapi for 50 odd million. And there's an argument to say that Van der Ven, who is a good partner to Romero, I know they don't play as many games, and also he's not going to replace Spence. So I just don't see how we're going to spend 50 million on a player that's going to be a rotational player. I don't think he starts above Van der Ven because he's too similar to Romero in my eyes.
Maybe he plays three at the back, Luke.
You're not having two left-footed centre backs playing in a three at the back, isn't it? Because it's such an unusual position to have a left-footed centre back, let alone two in the same position. I can't ever see that happening.
Listen, you often have two right centre backs playing in the back three. Why not have two left centre backs?
Why are you hating left-footers?
Because defenders would have grown up knowing that there's less left-footers, so more right-footers would have played. Like Gay, for instance, has played on the left all of his career because he's right-footed. Whereas you won't ever have a left-footed centre-back play right centre-back.
Doesn't it come down to ability?
No, not necessarily, no.
Well, you don't think so?
Obviously, a bit. If Hincapié for me would be a great squad option in this. He would start some games, he wouldn't start others. I can't see Spurs going and doing 60 million or 50 million on a centre back when we've just spoke about Gray 40 million on a player that don't come in, doesn't improve the 11. I don't see him doing that. I would rather them put that 60 towards a Paqueta or something like that and improve that central midfield.
If I'm going to be honest, I've seen Hincapié play quite a few times, and I don't think he's no better than Danzo.
Who?
I wouldn't.
Hincapié. I've seen him play a few times, and I don't think he's any leagues above Danzo. I don't think he brings anything that Danzo don't bring to it. I think he's a bit better on the ball, basically, but as an out-and-out defender, no-nonsense centre back, I don't think he's anything special over what we've got. I mean, the one I wouldn't mind to see, I can't even pronounce his bloody name, the one who plays at Dortmund with a proper long name on him. I think he's injured. Yeah, I think he's injured at the moment. I rate him over Hincapié personally, but just call that an opinion.
I think with Hincapié, there's an argument that he would be a better defender than Van der Ven. I think but for me, there's no way he's going to start at left back. And if there's an argument and you're saying that he's there or thereabouts as a defender, then why would you drop a 60 million pound on him? It's that then to me says we go 6 months down the line and go, well, actually, we needed a striker, we needed a creative midfielder. So,
but two things. Thanks. Look, I put my hand up now on this channel. I put my hand up just because Lubo don't let me speak anymore. I put my hand up. Two things. First and foremost, isn't this what we've asked our club to do, though? Haven't we asked our club to have a squad of options? Second of all, couldn't this be down to the fact that Mickey van der Ven, throughout his entire career, has always missed chunks at a time? And maybe they're looking and going, well, they're going to rotate. Maybe they rotate Hincapié and Van der Ven. I don't know. I'm just chucking. I don't think
it's. I know in the chat. Go on.
This is where I think a few people miss it as well. VDV only had one solid season. The season before he had that quality season before he came to us, he only played about 6 games. I mean, he went through the next season pretty much injury-free in that. When he played as a left-back and captain for Holland under-21s, if I remember right, I think the main thing with VDV on our injury, I think most of that has actually been down to Ange, the way he's been made to play sort of thing.
Well, he did have a hamstring the year before he came to Spurs, but
I agree. But it wasn't nothing like he's had. I think a majority of it has actually been. I'm not saying it never happened, but I think a majority of it is actually down to like how he got played, because it happened to a lot of players at Celtic and then started happening to about 5 players of ours as well. I do think a lot of it came down to that, and it's the question on that one is how bad did his hamstrings get injured? And can he? Because that once your hamstring's proper done, it's like your back. When your hamstring's done, you're never going to repair it 100%. You might repair it 95%, but you won't repair it 100% as such. And then it goes on and on like that and drops more.
By the way, Paul O'Keefe has said this as well. Lots of stuff being said tonight. I think he's on our mate's Last Word on Spurs. Has said everyone I spoke to during the game are saying that Eberechi Eze will be a Tottenham player. This is turning into a long, almost boring saga right now. Like, how when these things happen, does it kind of take away from the excitement now of when he actually signs?
100%. So many fans are going to be like, I know I don't want to keep bringing him up, but when Morgan Gibbs-White, it went at 2:00, they're interested. 8:00, here we go. I was like, yes. This is amazing. Like, no one knew this was happening, and all of a sudden it's done. And then now, I think if Eze gets over the line, everyone will go, oh, thank God that's over. We ain't got to keep talking about him.
Yeah, is it going to be more relief than... Yeah.
I think so. I think it will be.
I mean, like, obviously, we're all of age to remember when Van der Vaart was done. And that was like pure elation, because it was just out of the blue, and we were like, what? Transfer deadline? What? Van der Vaart signing? This name has been mentioned. Eze's name has been mentioned for so many years, right? And now Eze's name has been mentioned in every tweet. Every single Spurs fan has based every single other footballer against this guy. All window. What do you think of Gibbs-White? I'd rather Eze. What do you think of Elliott? Well, he's not Eze. What about Paz? Yeah, he's not Eze. Right? So now, if Spurs, I'm not going to blame Levy or Vinay. If Spurs don't get this over the line now, it is going to feel like utter deflation, guys, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I can't see who else we're bringing in anywhere near Eze's quality. I can't.
I also don't know what I'm going to do because he's on 96 of my thumbnails on my channel, and if you don't sign him, like what?
And I've got my Eze here we go thumbnail sorted, mate. I've got it ready to go.
You're gonna have to do it, even if he goes somewhere else. It's just here we go. It's just, finally, it's over.
Eze, here we go. Yeah. Yes, just not to Spurs.
Yeah, it is getting to that point, isn't it, where you're just like, just bloody do it or just bloody leave it. Just, it was like last season when we won the cup. I'd cut myself off from the league basically, and it run me down that much that when we won the cup, I was more relieved than I was happy as such. Just get it done.
This is brilliant.
These are two comments in a row, by the way. This is what I love about football. Hincapi isn't better than Danso. The immediate comment underneath, I kid you not, Hincapi is much better than Danso.
I don't think he's that much better than Danso. I really don't. I mean, yeah, he might be better on the ball, basically, but Danso is, call it a personal thing then, in the aspect of, I like the way Danso is a defender. He's an old school John Terry type of defender. Obviously, nowhere near as good. He's a no-nonsense centre-back, gets stuck into the game. Do you know what? If it's going into the back of the net and he can't get it, he'd probably throw his wife in front of it. He is that committed to being a no-nonsense centre-back. He's strong in the air. He's a strong person. I mean, his throws are bloody crazy. Where did they come from? I think he's one of those players, again, who will get massively underrated in a lot of ways because he isn't special on the ball and doesn't do a few things like Ronaldo can do or can't run like Van der Ven can do. I mean, if I've got a choice, if I'm going to be totally honest, I think he'd actually be one of my first picks as my centre-back, playing alongside Van der Ven or Romero, because I just like the way he's a solid centre-back from what I've seen so far. Reliable, consistent.
I like Hincapi. I'm not saying he's a bad player or anything like that.
No, I'm not saying he's bad.
If I encourage and say yes, I want to bring in Hincapi, it goes against everything I've said for the last few months. Is that we have to go and improve the 11 that we currently have. And for me, he comes in as a good option. He doesn't come in as improving that 11. Now, for me, if I could go and pick my first 11, I think we need a striker. We obviously need Eze and Savinho if they come in. And I also think that we need a bit more creativity in the 8. A more Gibbs White, a Paqueta type. So for me, if I had 60 odd million, I do think we need a left-sided centre back as a bit of cover, definitely. But I wouldn't be dropping 60 million on him. I just don't see a world why we do that. Because again, in 6 months' time, I think we're going to be sitting here going, why have we bought a £60 million centre half? Plays.
Do you know what? I hate to say it, but in its own way, it would be as stupid as going and buying Archie Gray. We need players now up front.
Just quickly, I mean, this is interesting, right? So look, I've just gone onto MB data, and obviously, you know, make of this what you will. But this is Mickey Van der Ven in the green. This is Danso in the pink, and this is Hincapi in the blue. So this is last season. So you've got, sorry, let me do that again. Hincapi blue, Danso pink, Mickey Van der Ven green. If you actually look there, Mickey Van der Ven, other than his forward passes, is probably the weakest with all the defensive actions. Defensive duels, possession one, carrying, aerial, is the weakest. However, forward passes, he's good. What you would say there is, I mean, who of those, if I didn't show you the colours, if I didn't show you who was who are you looking at there? Surely whoever's blue, right?
I think Van der Ven is very much tactical based, isn't it? Because how many defensive actions would he have actually had? It was a ball over the top and he was running onto it. So this is a question I've always had, is actually how good defensively will Van der Ven be? My argument is also with Hincapi is I think Hincapi is very similar to Romero, and that's not normally how centre-backs work. There's normally a partnership there where one's better going forward, one's better dropping off. And I think the partnership between Van der Ven and Romero works very well. He's the aggressive one.
There's Romero in the yellow. And what you notice for both Van der Ven and Romero is they're weaker than the others in all of the kind of defensive actions.
Savva, is what I basically meant by, again, call it personal opinion. Some people might call it crazy. Danzo would actually be my first choice centre-back to start with either Van der Ven or Romero. Reason being, I'd play him as my no-nonsense centre-back. You sit there if it's two at the back I'm playing. And then I'd want to play with a ball-playing centre-back. I think Van der Ven and Romero are both ball players, basically. They have to do more than just defend. I mean, Romero isn't bad at heading the ball, but Van der Ven has got to be, it might sound harsh, but one of the worst defenders I have ever seen at getting in the air and heading the ball.
When
and that is where, don't get me wrong, I think he's good. I think he's going to be a very good player, but in the air, I don't think I've seen a defender as shocking as him, especially the height. That is why I would probably start Danzo with Romero or Van der Ven every game. I think Danzo would be my first pick.
If you actually look, Dan, look how much worse Romero and Van der Ven are aerially than the other two. Like, in the air, which is quite an important thing if you're playing centre half, right? I mean, Romero's the weakest of the four aerially. He's the weakest. Again, look, we can dish this up for season through season. I can only go by the last year, right? That Romero is the weakest aerially, but Romero is the best with his forward passing. And that doesn't surprise me. That's obviously one of the, other than yesterday's game, that's one of his best attributes. But what I actually noticed there is when you look at Van der Ven's, for me, there doesn't look anything special at all as a defender. If you actually look now, we can take into account he's playing for Ange and yada, yada, yada. But for me, when you're actually looking at that, Hincapi is miles better than the other two at most of the things. Could it be the system he was playing at Leverkusen? Could it be that he was in a back three? I don't know. Obviously, there's all different things that you got to caveat, but I do think on the surface level, these sort of stats are quite interesting. I'm not.
But this is what Frank will be looking at, won't it? This is the sort of version. Obviously, I hope it's a little bit more complicated than what we're looking at, but this is what they look at. They look at stats and facts and all of that sort of stuff. So, but you haven't. Someone's just put it in the chat. You haven't put Takai's up there. I'd be interested to know what Kota Takai's statistics are.
Hang on, there's Virgil van Dijk, by the way. Virgil van Dijk is in the purple.
Should we sign him? Who's that fella?
I'll tell you what. So other than possession one, I mean, look, he's got really good progressive passes, forward passes, aerially and defensive duels. I mean, look, you can see that Van Dijk is superior to the others, right? Yeah. But I feel it's almost unfair to who did you want? Takai?
Yeah, put Takai in there. See what Takai's like. I know it's against the opposition, but you should be able to see because apparently he was actually really poor area.
It's Takai like that, right? He's not going to be there.
He's a
wonder kid. Let me chuck in Mark Guehi. Crystal Palace. So Guehi's in the orange. Yeah, interesting.
Is that not very similar to Romero?
I mean, there's so many in there now.
I mean, honestly, this is what I mean by, three at the back's ideal because then I can play with two ball-playing defenders sort of thing, and then I've got my no-nonsense in the middle. But if we ain't going to do it that way, when I've got two in the middle, I want someone like Danzo there who's not going to piss ball about of anything, not going to mess about, solid in the air, got the physicality, when in doubt, kick it out. Doesn't need to be skillful or anything like that. He's just a good old school, no nonsense centre back. And then I can have Van der Ven or Romero next to him. If anything, for me, honestly, with what you've shown on there as well, I think he almost gets picked over them because you need someone to be solid in the air when you got two centre defenders. And if neither of your defenders are capable in the air, like I said, Van der Ven has got to be one of the worst defenders ever that I have seen when it comes to being in the air and being, what is he, 6'3", 6'2"?
I think
he ain't a short. He ain't a short fella. Yeah. I mean, he shouldn't even have to jump with half of them. And seriously, he's a good player, but in the air, he's absolutely terrible.
6'1", 6'2", I think he is.
He's
I think it's about 6'2", 6'3".
He's 6'4". Yeah, Dan, you weren't
6'4".
6'4". Yeah.
And for that,
6'4".
in the air, he's absolutely abysmal. Whereas in other places, he's good. And the question that we did ask was, I don't think we saw that much as an out defender of defender side of him. because I think the reason why he definitely stood out last year is because of what he had to do and rely on his pace so much. So I'm very interested to see what he's going to be doing more as a centre-back as such.
Every single characteristic that we used last year was perfect for him. The way of defending was all perfectly around all of his best attributes. Whereas this year it will be different. So, but again, I don't see a world where we go and sign an upgrade on Van de Ven at this moment in time. I just don't. Maybe it's just me being a little bit negative about, but I think his defensive awareness against against PSG was all right. Newcastle was okay. So I think it'll be interesting to see how good he is defensively this year. I just don't buy the Hincapié's ones. Maybe it's just me. I don't think we'll get Savinio neither.
Why wouldn't you play left back, Hincapié?
Because he's not better than Spence. He's not better than Spence, and I don't think
Spence is not a natural left back. Spence is a right back.
I think he's better. I think he's better at left back. I think he's perfect for the system at left back as well because it frees up Porro to go a bit further forward.
I think it's much easier for a right-sided player, right-footed player to play on the right side.
No, I disagree. I think
in this day and age, where you've got wingers that cut in on their wrong foot, exactly. I feel like, listen, don't get me wrong. I agree with Lubo in the main. In the main, I agree. I want right footers on the right and left footers on the left. But in this day and age where everyone cuts in, sometimes it can be a bit of a blessing. Because if I'm cutting in on my left foot from the right and Spence is using his right foot as I'm cutting in, it actually counteracts. Listen, all I know is he is our best defender at the club. I'll tell you what. I'm going to say this is going to piss off Lubo. I think he's the best defender at the club, period. Defensively, I think he's better than defender. I think he's defensively better than Romero, Van de Ven, Danso, Porro. I think, for me, nothing really goes past the guy. Nothing ever really goes past the guy. I think he's a really good player. I was wrong about him. When we signed him, I'll be honest, I was one of them ones going, club sign. You remember we all praised Conte?
So was Conte.
Right. Do you remember? Well, do you remember we all praised it, didn't we? Oh, Conte's called it out. Look, we've signed this really poor player. Well, he's not a poor player, is he? He's actually developed into a very good fullback that, for me, guys, I know we're going slightly away from the transfers. This guy should start over. This guy pisses all over Udogie. This guy is superior to Udogie.
And that's why Hincapié doesn't start a left back and probably doesn't start a left centre back. And so why are we dropping 60 million on him or 50 million on him? And once we've got all of the issues sorted out, then that's when you go and drop that, where you then start saying, well, it's about rotations and everything else. But as I say, if I had 60 million.
Luke, yes, you're right. Logically, you're 100% right. But if good players come up that improve the team, do you say, no, let's leave him? He'll be better than what we've got, or he'll improve the team. He'll definitely improve the squad. Mm-hmm. But we've got to get others. And if you can't get the others and you've missed out on Hincapié, you've missed out on the player because these players come up once.
But you shouldn't.
And you've got to buy them when they come up.
As Spurs, we shouldn't be in that. Let me just use this as an example, right? Van de Ven's likely to get injured, but I think Spurs have already counted that in. Vuskovic, Danso, Dragusin. I think that's what they've all thought about, even Ben Davies, which I don't think he should be playing. But let's just say there's an injury there, right? And we go and sign Hincapié, brilliant. And then Palhinha, who's had injuries, gets injured, and we're now starting Archie Gray against that. That is me going, that's why we don't go and sign a Hincapié. We've got bundles of centre-backs that could do a job there. I think we need a midfielder. I think we need someone that goes and plays in that midfield. So for me, that's where I would target it.
Luke, I totally agree with you on that one, yeah? Instead of going, and I'm not saying it'd be wasting money, it'd be making the squad stronger, but it's not the squad stronger we need, it's the first 11 that we need, yeah? And it goes back to what I'm saying there. We definitely, I mean, for me, the most important player that we need is a number 10, through and through. But again, that's purely opinionated. Others say it's a left, others say it's a striker, each to their own on that one, yeah? But for me, we desperately need that 10. Then someone on the 11 or a striker, one or the other will help quite nicely. But then for me, a centre-back, I mean, a centre-mid is more important than a centre-back because we have got cover on a centre-back, even if it ain't great, because we go back to the very start again, that if Bissouma goes, The drop to Archie Gray is so abysmal that it just destroys a game, basically, and we might as well play with 10 men on there, as it has been proven. So in that aspect, I think we need a centre mid more if we're going to buy a sort of cover, play him every 3 rotation player, than we do a defensive player, if we get rid of Bissouma.
And what Ghosted has just put in, but everyone's saying we don't need Nkape. Don't complain when Ben Davies is playing. We can say exactly the same about if you don't sign a midfielder and then we get an injury and then Gray starting. That is what I'm trying to say, is that we don't.
I'm agreeing with you
right now.
But we've been after a centre half all summer, so there must be a reason. There must be a reason. Listen, I don't disagree with you, Luke. Again, in theory, but there must be something. And let's be fair, we've said all last year we've said Romero and Van der Ven, their injury records aren't reliable. I think Thomas Frank's a very astute man that will go, I can't be left in a position where one of them's missing for 3 or 4 months and then I've got to cobble together a defence. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's so that in those big Champions League games where you're playing Inter Milan, Bayern Munich, whoever it may be, that he does what he does against PSG and he brings in Nkape. And now you've got, I'm just using him by way of example. Now you've got Nkape, Romero, Danso, Nkape, Romero, Van der Ven. I don't know, but we've been linked with De Winter, haven't we? Before he went to Milan, we were linked with Zabanyi. We've been linked with Mark Guehi, now Nkape. There must be a reason.
I think if you're dropping 60, if that's the position that you've identified, I would go for Scalvini.
Class.
Because I think Scalvini also covers the 6 and he can go left back at worst case scenario. But he for me would be, even if you don't think he starts for us, he would still be a backup, but in multiple positions. So therefore will play more and contribute more.
But so would Nkape be Nkape can play centre back and left back.
Yeah, but Scalvini can play centre back, left back, and 6.
Yeah, but I think another thing.
Scalvini's
Luke,
I think another thing.
Do you want to leave Scalvini? Is he up for sale?
Yeah, he's at Atlanta. I'm pretty sure they've been saying that there's rumours about him leaving all summer.
I think another thing we need to look at, though, at Spurs, and I think this is one thing we do a hell of a lot, is we do like to buy a player who can cover A, B, C, D, E. Now and again, maybe we should just get a player that is solid in that position. Not one that's got a bit of this and a bit of that and can cover this and cover that. Yeah. In a way, that's almost doing it cheaply, if you ask me. Yeah. Maybe for once we should just go out and get a player that plays in that position, because a lot of people seem to think that if a player can't cover 2 positions, 3 positions, he's not a good bloody player. Some players are bloody excellent and they can only play in one bloody position. I just think we need to look at something like that. Going with the defensive side of it, maybe it's got something to do whether they're questioning how long it's going to take Dragusin to come back. Because if he comes back with the capability I believe he's got, I think you would see a very different player there, like you will with a few of them, because I think he will definitely match into Frank's system more, sort of thing. Like another Danzo player sort of thing. Because when it comes in the air, he's absolutely solid. He's not too bad at going forward. He's good at tackling. He's quite cool, calm, calculated, but he's not good at going forward, passing the ball. He's not very... he can't exactly spin on the spot and run back. He needs to make a whole horseshoe to turn around and whatever. But play him as a no-nonsense centre-back or play him in the middle of 3, I think you would see a very, very different player.
The middle of 3, 100%. That's the position he plays for Frank, I think, in the middle of a back 3.
Yeah, that's where he played in Italy.
Yeah.
Again, he's another one that just under the system. I think this is why instead of playing, when I've got 2 I prefer 3 at the back, but if you've got 2 at the back, I don't like the idea of having 2 ball-playing defenders there. I want my no-nonsense centre-back there and my ball-playing defender there. I don't like having both of them there. Because, I just look at getting the best of both sort of thing.
But one thing's for sure, if we go and sign them 3, that's a serious club. That's a club acting seriously. I'm not saying I don't think we should be signing Nkape. I'm just saying, I'm not saying I don't think he'll improve or it will be an asset to what we've got. I just think that I would push that money to go elsewhere. But if we go and sign them 3 on top of Kudus, on top of Palhinha, that's a good window. That's a very good
Basically,
window.
we got bigger priorities, didn't we? We got bigger priorities to look for, is the way you're looking at it. If we go and get him after we've got the other two, then brilliant. Then we actually start looking like a solid squad, not just a good 11. But there's bigger priorities there. And for me, that number 10 is the main priority, and then the number 11. And then I think a centre mid is more important than a defender if we get rid of Bissouma.
I think interesting what Frank said about he just won't buy anybody for the sake of it. He wants the players he wants. End of. And it all depends
in
what it depends what. Listen, we know a 10 is vital. We know an 11 is vital because we haven't got a left back, a left winger that we are comfortable with. For me, Johnson is not a left winger. In a million years, at the moment, he is the left winger. So for me, a 10 and 11 are absolutely key. Again, it depends what players come up that Frank likes and in what order they come up.
I agree.
And how available they are.
Sorry, could we just say, Benji, sorry, when we say sorry, we're suggesting Hincapié is better than VDV. What are we doing here? He is not an upgrade. Well, the stats and the data actually show that he is superior to Van de Ven at many things that a defender does. So when you're saying he would be back up nothing more, based on what? I see this is the problem that we have. We seem to think our players are untouchable. And as we just brought up all the data there, Van de Ven's not really better at Hincapié than anything. That's what the data shows so far. Like, how do we just turn around straight away and go, he's better? Hincapié will be a backup.
I just think that's an argument that you would have between them two. I don't think there's a clear favourite. If you're playing a high line, then Van de Ven would win it, but then he'd also miss half the games anyway. So I don't see as him being 100%. If Hincapié comes in, he's not going to be purely backup and not play. It will be a mixture of him playing. I just feel like them funds would be pushed to go elsewhere. But again, this is what I'm trying to say. These are the type of players that we need to be signing to improve our team. We need to be signing better players, and Hincapié is a lot better than other signings that we would, or the level of signing that we would normally make.
And you know what? When you look at the players that City have got, I'm not comparing this to City. I'm just talking about strength of squad. You know, they get an injury in defence. Someone just seamlessly comes in, don't they?
Yeah.
And that's
but that's it. But don't you feel like, again, and I know why you're using City, and I completely get that, but the thing with City is that they get their 11 sorted, and then they bring in the players that become an asset. Like if you had say we had a really solid 11 now, with a really solid 11, and then we went and got Hincapié, I'd be like, I understand that makes sense. But for me, a lot of fans as well are saying, is Solanke and Richarlison the answer? If not, should we be spending 60 million on a player that's going to be almost no guarantee it's going to... That's where I think that we need to get all of our 11 sorted, and that's when you then start boostering the squad. That's because
it wouldn't be such a crazy signing as such. Yeah, but it's Spurs and it ain't going to be all free, or I'll be very bloody surprised if it is, put it that way. Whether we have to do it or should do it, it just doesn't work like that at Spurs. Not normally, not what history says. If it does, epic, brilliant. But it won't. And we go and do, like you say, Luke, we go and buy him. It's sort of like, obviously nowhere near as bad, but it is basically doing the same. Improve your 11, then the 11 on the whoever you improve on there then comes back to the subs bench. Then if you improve it again, that comes back, the next one can go basically. And that's how you improve it. We're at a stage at the moment where we need to improve that 11, not the bloody subs bench. So if we go and improve that 11, then the player comes back off of there. We desperately need more players on that pitch than a defender.
But you're saying that, but why is Thomas Frank wanted a centre half all summer? It's easy for us as fans to say that. Why does our manager completely disagree with everyone saying that? Because he's been in for a centre half all summer. He's been in for a centre half, and I get it. If you can't keep Van de Ven and Romero fit, I get it completely.
Mm-hmm.
I get it.
Or maybe he intends to play free at the back most of the time. Maybe he's got that intention.
He might be thinking, we don't get Savinho, all we get is Eze, so therefore we've got Eze and Kudus as 10s, and we've got wing backs, and therefore we need three at the back, and we're going to play that the majority of the time.
I still think that team's made for that. Sorry, look.
I think the three at the back though the three at the back's only going to be played against the massive teams,
City, Liverpool sort of thing.
And for me, I don't know. Again, like I'll go back to it. I don't know why you would spend 60 million on a player that's going to be really impactful in 6 games this year, because we're not going to play in every Champions League game unless you're saying we're going to go and win it and we're going to get right to the latter stages and everything else. Again, for me, I think we need a creative midfielder or a striker before we need that. But I'm not saying that I don't think that we should be signing him. If we sign him, I'm not going to sit here and go, he's a crap signing or anything like that. No. He's still a good signing if we get him. But I would just rather them look. As I said, I think if you slap 60 down at Paqueta, I think West Ham then look at that as a possibility, or 60 million on a striker or something like that.
There's bigger. I think there's bigger problems that we need to solve than that. But again, call that opinionated. I just personally think that we need a number 10 100 times more than we need a defender. But if he's actually going to end up, I mean, what has really changed on that team from last season? Kudos.
Got a DM, and we've replaced a left winger with a right wing.
Yeah, and we've got Paulinho there. I think Kudus has also showed that he can more than cover that 10 role or whatever, but it has also given us the option of being able to play both ways. I mean, when you look at that team, bar a player, and that's Kudus, I'd say that team is still made for playing wing backs and 3 at the back, like a lot of us were saying last season, playing it as a 5-2-2-1 basically, or a 3-4-2-1, whatever bloody people want to call it. It's the same formation for me. But when I'm playing with wing backs, I just call it 5 at the back. And I think you can play that as a 5-2-2-1 basically. You can have Kudus sitting in there and almost having as your drifting player to just go out to the right, come into the middle, and then whoever we can get there playing in the centre, whether it's Kulusevski or whether we get Eze or whatever, and you could use him to drift out wide and stay there, whatever. Almost give them a little bit of a free roll sort of thing. I still think this team is tenfold more made for wing backs than it is for wingers. The only reason I think anyone will argue for a winger is because we got Kudus. But if you play him in sort of like, I'm not saying, when I say 10, I just mean the position, yeah? But have him as the 10 sort of, like he did the other day, basically, with Paris Saint-Germain. Like players 10, drift out, come in, drift out. And then when he comes in, let Eze drift out, come back in. I still think this team has got 5 at the back, wing backs written all over it. People say it's boring football, yeah? Did it look boring against Paris Saint-Germain? If you play it a certain way, Conte way, it can look very boring. You play it the way we played it the other day, fast counter-attacking football, winning the balls and that. 5 at the back is not boring football, because it didn't look that boring against PSG, did it? For the first 7 minutes.
I don't agree with a sweeping statement of it's boring. However, what I would agree, Coleshott's put it in there. If we're playing like Leeds and Burnley, we don't need to play 5 at the back. And that's why I think 5 at the back's only going to be used against the top teams, Cities, Liverpool's, Real Madrid's, that sort of thing. So how nice is it to be sitting there talking about talking about 3, maybe £60 million signings and not signing a player on loan with a £10 million obligation to buy, or a 16-year-old from League One, or I don't know.
I mean, even when you play it against, go on.
I was going to say, listen, I agree with what you guys are saying, but I'm just going by the fact that the manager has wanted one, right? The manager's wanted centre half. We've got 2 very injury-prone centre backs. They are both very injury-prone, and for people saying that's not important, let's bear that in mind. Then, if one of Van der Ven and Romero do go down and get injured, yeah, let's bear that in mind, because we knew the possibility would be there. So if they do go down and get injured and we're left with a Ben Davis, with a Takai, and I think that's probably what Thomas Frank is looking at. I make it right. I think we need one. I'm not saying yes,
exactly.
If it's that, if we ended the window and we got a centre half now, I'm screwing. We need the 10, we need the 11. But for me, a big club, Chelsea don't pick and choose which one they get, do they?
What I was saying earlier is if say for instance, and you're right, if Van der Ven gets injured, then we're either playing a left centre back who's right-footed. But you can also then say about Paulinho that Gray starts, you can also then say if Solanke gets injured, all we have is Richarlison and nothing else. So there's other positions where that also becomes a problem. And it's like you need to hedge your bets on, is Richarlison gonna stay fit all season? No. Will Palhinha? Probably not. Will Van der Ven? Probably not. Right, so we still need 5 players.
Yeah, you're right on what you're saying. Yeah, I agree.
Just bring one point up, because I had a chat with Johnny after the game yesterday, and he made an interesting point. Richarlison played 90 games for Everton without being injured, and he hasn't been looked after, he said, by the medical team since he joined Spurs properly. Now he is. Now he's being looked after.
Who are we talking about?
Richarlison. He missed more than like 4 or 5. He only missed 4 or 5 games.
He missed a game for Everton,
every single year for Everton, and then came to us. I think the year before he signed for us, he missed 12, and then ever since then, he's missed like 12 in a row. So yeah, he was not a problem with fitness while he was at Everton.
Yeah, at Everton, he missed in his first year. If we're just looking at league, he missed 3 games. Secondly, he missed 2. Third year, he missed 4.
13.
Last year, he missed 8. I tell you what, though, what I'm actually seeing, there is actually a trend in his career. There is actually a trend that he's getting worse year on year on year, even when there. It might have only been a small incline, but it's gone from 36 games to 34 games to 30 games to 27 games to 15 games.
Do
Maybe
you think the injuries are catching up with him? Do you think the injuries are basically catching up with him with a bit of age? Because some people are just more brittle than others. Look at Maddison. Yeah, okay. I mean, you could even argue he's more brittle than Maddison has been over the past bloody 2 years, for God's sake. And the thing is with Maddison, why I don't even reckon he's going to come back as an out-and-out player is because he is brittle and he's just done his knee again. And sometimes age catches up with people quicker than it does with other people, especially in certain positions if you rely on pace, stuff like that. And the other thing is with it as well is there's certain injuries, like I said, like you do your back in, you will never, ever 100% fix that back. You will only 95% fix it. You do it again, you will only 95% fix it. So now you're 10% off it. I think your hamstring's the same as well. You do your ACL, it's basically the same as well. There's a lot of injuries that you can just never, you can come back from it, but you'll never repair it to 100%, if you see where I'm coming from. Whereas other injuries, you can come back just as strong as such. Maybe the injuries have just caught up with him and he's a bit more brittle than other players.
Yeah, look, I mean, look, it is what it is. You never know, right? You never know when you buy a player. One big injury might not have been Spurs' fault. The next thing you know, it's catching up. But again, this is why when everyone is waxing lyrical about certain players, I'm very mindful of people that have been injury prone. I'm very mindful of people that are patchy in their careers. So, for example, right now, Richarlison could play the next 10 games and get 8 goals, and everyone will lose their minds. They will. Everyone will lose their mind. They're going to come on stream every week going, you're in the mud, you're in the mud, you're in the mud. He's amazing. He's great. He's this, he's that. About a week later, he picks up an injury. Oh, I can't believe it. Well, why can't you believe it? This is his career. This is his history. We've got evidence that shows this happens. And this is the same thing with Romero and Van der Ven. All the people last season going, yeah, but this isn't on Ange. This isn't on Ange. Look at the injuries to Van der Ven and Romero. Well, haven't we seen from their careers that we know they get loads of injuries, and we did nothing in the transfer window to say, maybe we need another centre-half. What we did instead was go, nah, don't worry about buying a centre-half. I'll tell you what, we'll actually send our centre-halves out on loan. We didn't even keep Phillips. I'm not saying he's the answer, by the way, guys, but you've got injury-prone footballers, and the manager decides, yeah, I'll let this guy go out on loan. Okay, cool. And then, I haven't got any defenders. Well, yeah, you let our centre-halves go out on loan, knowing that you've got 2 injury-prone players. So I think a lot of it does have to come down to just a little bit of common sense with squad building. I
don't think we do that. I generally don't think we look at squad building and squad planning. I don't think we sit there and go, right, let's have a little look at where we think this might go in 2, 3. We don't do that because Sonny's replacement might be signed in the same window that he's left in. But we all knew that he could have gone and been replaced 2 years ago. I always use the Gareth Bale one. It's my favourite. Gareth Bale. We sold Gareth Bale and then we replaced him 7 years later with Gareth Bale on loan. Like,
but Luke, why weren't we succession playing with Harry Kane?
This is what I mean. Even Harry Kane. You sold Harry Kane at the day before the first game of the season.
Exactly.
You didn't sign a striker for a full year, and then brought in someone that 90% of the fan base went, is he really the guy you're bringing in to replace Kane? Like, you've had 4 or 5 years to say there's a possibility we could lose Kane here. And that's why I don't think we do squad panning. I think look at Dragusin, like, and Dan's mentioned it, and I've said it on here loads of times. Savva said it. This whole squad has all been put together to play 5 at the back, and then we brought in Ange, who never deviates from his 4 at the back. It's almost like we just go, that makes sense now. Oh, don't worry about next year. It doesn't.
At this moment in time, you put that team together by one player. It's made for 5 at the back. It's no different to last season. And now we've even got someone you can put as a DM there, basically, or play that DM role from centre back, coming back deep to cover the DM. We've even got that player there. This team is made for 5 at the back. And then when you play someone like Burnley or whatever, you still keep it 3 at the back. But then instead of that, you just push up further on the sides, basically. That's how they do it in Italy.
Or, for instance, if you brought in Savino just plays left wing back because he's never going to defend. So people seem to think that playing 3 at the back and wing backs is out and out defence. It's bloody not. Go and watch some European football, especially in Italy, and that it's not all about defence. I mean, you go and look at some teams that have played. I mean, when Inter went and absolutely smashed it with 5 at the back, they were brilliant to watch. Totally attacking football and everything. Okay, different standard of team. Chelsea totally dominated the league attacking football, but conceding lack of goals. Okay, better team. But you look at this one, Danzo in the middle, Van der Ven there, Romero there. You've now got the choice of Spence there, or you've got the choice of Udogie there. And on that side, you've got Porro or Spence you can choose there. For me, Porro goes on there. Overlapping wing back. You can't tell me he's a defensive orientated player. He is an out and out attack wing back. That is why defending is not his strong point. And then in the middle, you can then go and put Paulinho and Bentancur there, which I don't think people would argue. Or you can put Bentancur with Sarr or Sarr with Paulinho. You've got options there. 2 in front. Yes, we definitely need that number 10 now. And like I say, if we go and get Eze there, I'd play them both in a 10 role so they can drift out wide, come in, whatever else and that. And then you got your striker there. Bar, say you want to stick Kudus as an out and out right. If we don't get Savino, by the way, this team is made for 5 at the back still. We've only got one different player in there, basically. Paulinho even makes it even more to play with wing backs.
And then the problem you got. Just give you a particular potential scenario. Mm-hmm. We've got United on the Saturday, and we've got Real Madrid on the Wednesday. Playing 3 at the back for both. We've got matches at Old Trafford and the Bernabeu. Just might be completely wrong, but a top club, two top teams. He goes with 3 at the back. He's got Danso, Romero, and Mickey. Mm-hmm. One of them gets injured on the Saturday. Wants to play a 3 at the back on the Wednesday night. Dragoson's still in the in the medical room. Who are you going to put in? We're short. We are short.
Maybe that is why he's looking for a defender in.
Absolutely.
Because I still believe that this team is. I mean, go and pick me out a better looking team than the one I just basically put together there. I mean, now Maddison's out, but. Even if we do get Eze in there as the number 10, we've then got Kudus there, but then we've also got Kulusevski who can come in and cover those positions as well. Or if you really want to do it and you really want to be a bit could work, couldn't work sort of thing, you can play with, say, Kudus behind, or you can play with Eze behind, or you can go certain ways. And in certain games where you want to be more attacking, instead of having 2 sitting behind your striker, you go and stick Johnson and Danzo there, or Richie and Johnson there. Because I think Johnson, you'll see more out of him if you play him in a sort of old school Michael Owen, Emil Heskey sort of way. And that is how you go more attacking on it as such. I think it does come with options, but our best is at the back, basically. And the wing backs we've got, they're made for it. The team is more made to play that way.
If you're going to sign Eze and you've got Savinho, you've already got Kudus.
Oh,
you've got
if you've got
Kulusevski coming in.
Savinho, then it's made for wingers. I agree.
I can't see them playing three at the back. Only, again, it'll go back to it. They're going to play on occasions against a very top team. And do you go out and spend 60 million on a player that's only going to play against them top team?
Savinho, I agree. We get him, then it totally changes, because then we can play a 4-2-3-1 and look solid. At the moment, we go and play a 4-2-3-1. We still look weak as in a 10 position and weak as on the left.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is, at the moment, if we only got Eze,
Luke, if Hincapie comes in and his form's better than, I'm just saying, if he's better than what we've got, if he's playing better than Van der Ven, etc., he forces his way in.
Yep.
Then that's an upgrade.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is,
I'm not saying he's better than Van der Ven. I'm just giving a scenario here that you can never have too many good players. And
I agree with that.
Best players have got. Yeah, we talk about Chelsea, we talk about Liverpool, we talk about City. There's PSR as well. We should be bringing in these players. We should have good squads. We should have quality players across every single area of the pitch. So if one gets injured, one gets suspended, someone comes in, you don't even notice it.
I agree, but that's what I'm saying.
We saw it on Wednesday night, didn't we? Look at the drop-off Wednesday nights.
But that's what I'm saying. You've got the same thing. You've got, if Solanke's out injured for any period of time, we've got Richarlison, who's known to be injury prone, as the only backup. So if one of them get injured, there's no one coming off the bench.
Paulinho, and then you might have to put Johnson there.
Paulinho was injured a lot last year. And so he might miss games. And if he does, who then comes in for him? At the moment, it looks like Archie Gray does. And then if Van der Ven gets injured, it looks like we've got Ben Davies coming in. And that's the problem, is that all three positions. So if we go and sign Hincapie, knowing Spurs, Solanke will be ruled out for 6 months. And then we'll only have Richarlison, who we know will get injured. So it's like a catch-22, I guess.
And you can't do it all in one window unless you're willing to go spend money like Liverpool, basically.
But this is what you get with a coach, isn't it? This is what you get with a coach. You get a guy. I think this is right. You've got a guy here who we don't need to know how many games a year is he going to do this tactic, that tactic. He will look at the opposition and go, this is what's best. Like, let's be fair. If he had rocked up at home to Burnley and played three at the back, we're all pissed off, aren't we? We're all going, we don't need three centre-halves to deal with Burnley. But when he did it against PSG, I think unanimously the whole fan base went, yeah, that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? So, listen, I think a lot of this is trust. And again, there are many managers I've not trusted. I trust this manager. I don't care what people say about me, the Thomas Frank Defence League or what, all this nonsense. This is a proper coach. This is the elite level of coaching. This is what these men do. They look at the opposition. They look at the strength of the opposition. They look at the weakness of their own team and go, right, how can I counter their strength? And then they look at the weakness of the opposition and go, what's the strength of ours? How do I counteract their weakness? That's what top coaches do. That's what Pep Guardiola's done his entire career, right? That is what managers like Klopp do, right? That's what these tacticians, that's what they do, right? Glasner, he doesn't even do this as much. Glasner doesn't normally play. Glasner, I love Glasner, by the way, but you watch Palace most games, it's three at the back, isn't it? Yeah. I can't really remember Palace going to four. Thomas Frank will easily go, right, guys, we're going to three at the back today. And I think he knows that when that happens, you've got to have the quality to bring in. So if this club goes and buys Hincapie now, I'm not complaining because the manager has told him, this is what I want. And can we be really clear here, guys, right? For all those people that were doubting Frank and he's been brought in purely to coach the younger players and he's been brought in because he doesn't want money and play. This guy's telling them, no, I want this. I don't want that. I don't want that. I want this. Get me this. This is the guy I need. And if he says that's Hincapie, I'm not going to argue with him.
Yeah, that's a different. We don't know. We don't know what them conversations have been had. Like, for instance, last year we don't know what was said. It could have been, I want 4 players to upgrade the 11. We got Solanke. So I don't think anyone in, like, we're sitting here saying maybe Savinho, maybe Hincapie, maybe Eze. Again, if you'd have asked 2 months ago, every single one of us, none of us would have named all these players because we wouldn't have expected that Spurs would go and do this. So it made sense that Frank was brought in to bring up the level of what we've got. and work with it because that's what he'd done previously. But I don't think anyone was going, oh, hang on a minute, we've got some serious money to spend.
And you know what, Luke?
No.
If he has 2 or 3 good years at Spurs, all the top European clubs will be after him.
Yeah.
I mean, in that aspect as well, I do think Thomas Frank, I mean, he was my third choice manager, and I've said it for ages that he can play with the cards he's got a lot better than Ange could. Ange could only play his way, and it didn't really matter if the players could play that way. You had to play this way. Whereas Frank, I think you've already seen it over the years. He's played about 4 different bloody formations and that. And if he doesn't get Eze and he doesn't get Savinho, he's still going to have to play with the cards he's got. Like it or lump it. That's his bloody job. And I'm still going to judge him on that to an extent because I still expect him to then go and play the players to what they are best at. And even if that isn't his way, that is when you've got a good coach who will then sit here and say, right, this is how I prefer to play, but the players I've got match this system better, so I'm going to play it this way until I can get my players in. Whereas Andrew was like, I ain't got the players to do it that way, but I'm still doing it that way, and that's all that matters. And that's his job, basically. And I think the way he is, I don't think he was necessarily brought in to get 5 brand new players for the first team like Ange did. I think he's definitely been brought in to get 2, hopefully 3 players that he wanted, but then also get the rest of the team back up to standards and improve them as well. Because he's the sort of manager that fits the
players we're in for. It
style.
doesn't suggest that's the case, does it, Dan? The players we're in for suggest that he is asking for those players and he is going to get.
I'm not saying
right. Like,
is he?
We'll see. Can I just say, sorry?
That's why I said 2 or 3 players. That's because he's got 2. I reckon he'll get 1 more. I don't see us getting both.
Can I just say this, right? I really want to address this because somebody yesterday, and we are going to wrap up the show, guys, in the next 5-10 minutes. Somebody made a really good point to me yesterday. No one on YouTube, someone completely different. This comment: Thomas has done wonders at Brentford, but hasn't won anything ever. And already we're seeing his inability to kill the game and go for the throat. First and foremost, I want to say already we're seeing his inability. I mean, he's managed 1 Super Cup game and 1 Premier League game. I mean, this has got to be the most knee-jerk reaction I think I've ever seen. Second of all, what someone said to me yesterday, guys, was if we're going to use relative terms, Frank is a massive winner just alone from what he's done at Brentford. Yeah? If we're going to go on the theory that most of the trophies, I think it's something like 96% of the trophies are won by the big clubs, right? Or something ridiculous like that. And this guy's a massive winner. But going to a club that size, having hardly any money to spend, keeping them in the Premier League, getting them fighting almost for European football in the Premier League, isn't that winning in its own right? Like, not every football club's going to win a trophy. And it made me think, yeah, like not, oh, he's got a trophy, but did atomic athletes, whatever, did anyone expect that Thomas Frank's remit at Brentford was to win a trophy? Brentford.
No, but the other part of that is like, for instance, what Sean Dyche done at Burnley. That doesn't mean what he done at Burnley means that he can go and do it at the top level. So that's a question mark over Frank. No one can say that's not a question mark because we've never seen it.
Sure. But he had the relegation zone, right? Yeah. Every year. You know what I mean? Like
the other question is that I do ask here, go and give me Pep Guardiola, go and give me Ancelotti, go and give me Klopp, and show me that they can get Burnley into the Premier League, keep them in the Premier League, and also not ever go into the bottom 3. Now, I'm not saying they can't do it, but I'd like to see them try and do it. We'll never know.
Yeah, for sure.
The requirements are different. I guess it's like a player, isn't it? Like,
yeah. I'm not saying being at the top isn't hard. Yeah, I think Brentford are in trouble this season. They've lost everything. They have lost everything.
The manager that they've appointed doesn't help that. I know what you're saying, and you're right. But the manager they've appointed, even Brentford fans are going, "Our set piece coach." Are you joking me?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it will show. Thomas Frank every single year lost his best players, every single year, and every single year coped. Every single year he lost his best players and coped. And every year I've heard they're going to go down this year. Brentford, they've lost Tony. Oh, they're going down this year. They've lost Watkins. They're going to go down this year. They've lost Ben Rama, whoever it was. And every year he sculpts, he molds, he adapts, and he's kept them there. He's got them top half of the Premier League. This whole notion that somebody's not a winner. Well, Eddie Howe wasn't a winner. Now he is. Do you know what I mean? Like Eddie Howe wasn't a winner.
So to give some perspective on spending, Frank in 7 years had a net spend of 71 million. Ange had a net spend of, I reckon,
nearly 400.
He spent 380. His main transfers out, money coming in were Kane and Winks, where he got 105, I think. I mean, Do you want me
to bring it up?
Go on. What? Ange's net spend in the last 2 years compared to Frank's net spend in 7 years with Brentford.
Yeah. Thomas Franks is something like 10 million a season.
Yeah.
Correct.
Again, it's all like relative, because say, for instance, the 40 million that we've just said that Archie great. Now that 40 million and the 30 million on there, that might be 70 million that we spend on Savinho. Now they're two completely different levels of signings. So I think that's all part of where you are as well. So if Frank, for instance, got 200 million to spend this summer, we would probably be going, well, he'd probably get a couple of 30 millions, a couple of average players. Whereas actually, if he signs 4 top players at 50 million each, that's a bit different. So I think that's all part of it as well. And also, Brentford's recruitment is absolutely sensational for their level. Sensational.
But look at the players they're signing. They're signing absolutely. Yeah. Sorry, I'm going to be rude. They're signing a lot of players that no one knows who they are, right? From the Dutch. Sorry, I'm just looking at Espanyol. Have just taken the lead against Atletico Madrid in the 85th minute. I just think pound for pound, the job he's done is absolutely fantastic. Look, I'll show you this. Lubo. I'll show you both these things. We will end in 5 minutes. But this is Tottenham. We're not looking at this summer because that's got nothing to do with it. Looking at this summer. So last year he spent 185.
Euros, so.
Yeah. We can work out 185 and recouped 55.
So high for 130 million euros. That was 23-24.
Yeah, and then the year before he spent 272 and recouped 120.
So plus 152. So 282 divided by 115. So his net spend in 2 years was £245 million in 2 years, and Frank's net spend was 71 million in 7 years. So that shows you the chasm between the two clubs. And
of course. But doesn't it show that
they finished how many points ahead of us last season? How many points ahead? Exactly.
That's mental.
And Brentford are also a club that cannot support themselves come love nor money unless they sell players, basically. I mean, what's the size of their stadium? Like I've said about Spurs,
17,000.
Exactly. We are one of about 4 clubs on this planet that can actually sustain ourselves without even finishing high in the league, without winning anything, or even having to sell players. There's only about 3 or 4 other clubs I can think that can actually do that. Not even Chelsea can do that. They can't sustain themselves without winning something or selling players like they do it so brilliantly when they're youth players. We're one of few that can do that. And you look at what he's done at Brentford. Like I said, go give me Pep Guardiola, stick him in at Brentford with that, and now tell me he can keep them in the Premier League and not even hit the bottom 3 once. Might be one of the greatest managers ever. Not the greatest manager for me. I think Mourinho was better overall on his day, but personal opinion. But what I'm saying is give me one of those managers and see if that can do that. But then you can reverse the situation and tell me, has Frank got it to go to a top club and deal with big players and stuff like that? You can reverse it totally.
If you gave Thomas Frank Man City squad, could he go and win the league? It works both ways.
It works both ways, basically, is what I'm saying.
Look at Poch. Poch seems to have always struggled when he's had really strong characters in his dressing room.
Sure.
He seems to be brilliant when he's had players that kind of look up to him as a dad figure, listen to everything he said, Kane, Dele Alli's, all of that. When he goes PSG, was he the first manager in 10 years that didn't win the league? They were level on points. So it's when he's got massive characters. He goes to Chelsea, and again, they're flogging out and they're bringing in all these young players, and that's when they started to. So it's all relative to what you want.
Does Frank scream? Luke, sorry. Does Frank give you that vibe? Because for me, I know. Sorry, I knew what I was trying to say. Frank, for me, seems like somebody that doesn't take prisoners, and I think he's got no problem putting an ego in its place. I genuinely think, from watching the coaching videos, from watching how he is in interviews, I think this is a proper guy that's got respect. I think he's going to have the respect of big players. I do.
That's never like. But because people straight away go, oh, like when I said I didn't want Frank at the very start, it's like, oh, everything he does is wrong, and that's not the case. I was worried that when you walk into, so there was a report from Ali Gold saying that what Thomas Frank used to do is go for a run in the local park every day. That's what he does. He keeps himself fit. He goes for a run in a local park. He's not going to be able to do that as Tottenham boss. So is it just that there's a whole load that comes with being Spurs manager? There's more reporters, there's more all of this, that, and the other. Is he able to handle that? And he looks like he can. He looks like he absolutely can do that. So I don't think he's got a problem with managing characters. It's if you've got like the elites of the elite, who have all got like top personalities, would he be able to manage that? I think a lot of managers would struggle nowadays.
Yeah, he's shown his mate. He has shown already he means business by leaving Bissouma out the Super Cup final.
100%.
Yes,
and also,
I agree with that.
I would imagine he's had a chat with Romero as well, because what Romero done, I don't care whether he's captain, I think was bang out of order the timing of that. The way that it was soon as Frank was announced, he mentioned about Ange. So I think he's probably had conversations there as well. So
one I want to see with Frank is if he's so no nonsense manager sort of thing. Personal opinion, Romero should have been off at half time. I thought Romero was shocking. He nearly cost us like twice on there. And if that's going to be your manager, I don't care if he's the manager. I don't care if he's the captain or not. If he's not playing up to standards, I want to see him that he's got the bottle to drop him, basically. Something like that, for instance. Because I thought Romero yesterday in that first half was really poor. And I want to see him to have the capability.
That's a different type of no nonsense, isn't it? I think we're talking more about dealing with
the overall. Yeah, but I'm also talking about no nonsense also comes onto the pitch as well, not just letting a player stay on because he's a captain. Needed to
come off though? I mean,
I honestly thought in that first half, I thought he was pretty poor. But okay, fair enough. If he wasn't that bad, I want to see he's got that in him.
I think what he's more likely to do is change something up completely. So, like, say for instance, they're getting down the right side. I think he's got enough about him after 15, 20 minutes to be like, this ain't working, let's change it up. And that for me is a version of him going,
and not basically
let's change it up. Yeah. I think he's got that, definitely.
I hope he has as well, and not scared to offend a player in the process. Yeah. Like, again, also, if Romero's having one of his games where he just ain't turning up, which sadly he does do, and yesterday proved it, I want to see that he's got a bolt to say, do you know what, Romero, you ain't doing the job. Get off the pitch, mate. I don't care if you're captain or not. But things like that is an example.
The other side of management is that's what half times are for. Yeah. Half times are for Christian. Come here, mate. I need better. I've just made you captain. I need better than that. Come out second half and play much better. Not everything needs to be right. Everyone, because if we're going to do that, there are games where you'd be subbing off everyone. You know.
Yeah, you don't do it all the time, but there's going to be situations where you, me, and others complained that Ange just stood there and did absolutely nothing for 45 minutes until talk at half line. I'm not saying do it all the time, but if someone, the reason I bring up Romero is because. Okay, fair enough. Fair point. All right, I'll step back on that one to an extent. But the point I'm trying to make is I want him to be able to stand there. And when Romero doesn't turn up for the games, which he does do it on too much of a regular basis, in my opinion, that's why I can't call him world class. I want to see that he's got the bottle, even though he's captain, even though he's our best defender, whatever, even though he's a World Cup winner, to say, mate, you ain't doing the job. Get off the pitch. Yeah. Whether it's 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 80 minutes, 45, whatever. And I hope he has. I think he has.
Not tactically in game, but I think he's shown that he's got that by him saying to Brentford, get rid of Tony. Because that was a massive, massive call. Peter, like we talk about Wissa now, back then, nobody was going, "Oh, don't worry, Wissa will get him." Like everyone was going, "If Tony leaves, Brentford go down. Like they're going to struggle massively." And he's like, "No, don't worry about it. See you later." So, and that's another version of making big calls, going, "Don't worry, I've got enough about me to get a team set up or a striker to score or whatever." So, but it is in them. It's not necessarily the big calls; it's the big games and making the tactics completely correct. I think it's massively unfair to say he was wrong against PSG. He should have done X, Y, Z. However, if we come up against Real Madrid and we come up against Barcelona and that same trait last 10 minutes, we're struggling and nothing, then you could say, oh, maybe in them big games, final moments, but you can't say it after one game. I think
sure, but equally the flip side to that as well is if you were playing against Barcelona, Real Madrid, you expect that in the last 10, 15 minutes, those clubs are going to absolutely pepper you. That's why they've got the quality players, right? You expect that you're going to come under shit, and there's only so much you can do with this squad. We all,
100%.
It's limited.
Just before we go, I'll tell you what I'm worried about. What I worry for Frank is obviously the second game is Man City, right? And what I worry about is this is a good team. Listen, your man Benji the other day then telling me that this Man City team won't be in the top 4. I can fucking tell you right now they will be. This is a quality team. And going to Man City, my worry is Man City's a place where anyone can lose. If we do lose, are we going to overanalyze it to the point of, do you know what I mean? Where it's just literally like, oh, but I thought he was a coach. I feel like every time this man loses a game, we're going to go right into, okay, but if he's a coach, how comes he didn't do this? And what about this?
We was always going to have this. If Ange was still here, we'd have had the same thing with Ange. This was always going to happen over a period of 2-3 months until everyone gets bored of saying Ange, Frank. That's it. This is
I said exactly the same thing to Savva the other day. I can't remember what day and that, when I said to you, are you actually bloody surprised?
No, I'm not surprised. I just said I feel sorry for him because whatever he does.
Because he, in that aspect, it's like I go back to saying what I've said for ages. Ange had the easiest job a manager's ever had on winning this bloody fan base over, and that was just kick the bloody ball up the pitch and it done it. The problem he's got now is he's still got the people that don't want to see a certain type of football, the people that still want to see a certain type of football, whereas I think you're going to see both off of him. Then you're going to see a significant amount of us that are just actually happy that we're seeing an organised team as such. But then he's also got the Ange lovers still sitting there who don't think Ange should have gone, and that's their opinion. Fair enough. I think it's a bit of a crazy one, but each to their own at the end of the day. And he's going to have that on it, but you're going to compare him to Ange from last year anyway. We're all going to do it, because that's what you've got to do to see if you're improving. Right, are we doing this year, this year? Right, we're doing that. And you compare it to the previous one. Because if you don't compare it to the previous one, then how can you say that you're improving as such? But the way people are going to do it, instead of comparing it the right way, in like, right, our shooting, we're not getting as many, we're only getting 10 shots against us, not 25 shots against us, sort of thing. Just an example. I think people are going to, instead of doing it like that, I think they're going to be doing it of a scoring points thing. Yeah, see, Ange went 10 games unbeaten. Oh, but Frank's done that. Oh, but Ange did it. And I think it's going to be more of a point system, if you get where I'm coming from.
What do you mean? Frank's lost to Man City, but Ange won there last season. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be on both
sides. That'll be on both sides. I was seeing
that. Yeah, that's what I just said.
Saying about, oh, well, he beat Arsenal and Ange never did. And it's like, Ange is literally standing there with a European trophy, and we're saying that winning the friendly against our rivals is a bit like, what
exactly. That's what I just said, Luke. That's what I just said. It goes both ways on it, basically. I think there's too many out here for a pinpoint, for a score points thing as well.
They're right. It's the same thing with the transfers. If let's just say in a mad world we go and get Mbappe, Eze, and Savinho, I think net spend Ange is still going to be higher. And there's people going to be like, oh, yeah, but Ange still spent more. And it's like, yeah, but Frank has just brought in 5 absolute world top class players. That's completely different to 40 on Archie Gray and 30. So I think this is always going to range on until people just get bored of it, to be honest. Because everyone's going to have good points on both sides.
I had a question in the comments. I'm trying to find it again. From one of the
After this question, Luke, I will end the show. After you've done this, I will end the show.
Okay. Just asking me, what's a Euro? Obviously, after I'd talked about Ange, what's a European trophy worth? It's worth an awful lot, and we thank Ange for that, for bringing us Bilbao. But if you're talking about a long-term situation, I mean, my first question to you is, how did you feel about 22 league defeats and 17th place last season? And that's unsustainable. We're not going to win the Champions League this year. So if Ange had been here and he hasn't got a weaker tier 2 Europa League competition, how's he going to do? His record against the top half last season was something like 1-4 drew 2 and lost 14. So, you know, and the Europa League teams were all, for me, lower Premier League stroke Championship teams. So if you sort of look at it that way, Ange wasn't set up for us to go and challenge in the top half of the table. And, you know, if you keep finishing mid-table or low mid-table, your players are going to drift away. They're going to see a complete lack of ambition. It was so important to win the trophy last year, and you know, brilliant to Ange, but long-term, not sustainable. Sorry.
I thought you was going to ask my question, Lubo, where I said, "Does Lubo wear grey tinted glasses?"
Listen, on that note, guys, I am going to wrap up. Guys, girls, thank you for everyone that's watched. I mean, we have been really, really dire tonight on the likes, to be honest. We've had over 9,000 views live and only 443 likes, which is really poor, and only 7 new subscribers. So please, if you haven't liked, please do before the show ends. Thank you very much to Marlon, who came on. He gave us an hour before he probably went off to watch Last Word on Spurs. Big up to you, Dan. Please go and subscribe to the Hotspur Hood. Please subscribe to the Spurs 5 for Lubo and subscribe for myself. Subscribe to Spotlight on Spurs for Luke. And you know what? There are, in an hour and a half's time, I believe we'll have 14 days left of this transfer window. Maybe, 15. Hang on.
15. 5 o'clock on the Monday, I think it is.
Okay, so 15. So 15 days left. 15, just under 15 days left as of now. Over to you, Spurs. Make it happen. Hincapié, Savio, Eze, and we can all come on here and go, pause. We can all enter this stream and start saying what a great transfer window it was. At the moment, it does look very much like it's same old, same old. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. Everyone in the chat, thank you very much. And as always, come on, you Spurs.